Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. We are through not E3-ish. We are mostly through not E3-ish. Alex
We have
Navarro.
experienced the modern equivalent of E3, which is not E3, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, I think it gets mostly the job done. And Brad Shoemaker, having just come back from not E3, from Summer Game Fest in particular, a Switch launched as well. Switch 2
That's
launch.
right, man. I don't even know what to say.
I think you can also say
about the audacity of launching your console the day before what would have been E3.
I think Nintendo also got the job done. You know, I guess.
I mean, they sold 3.5 million of those things in 4 days, so I think the job is being done.
Did they put out a number? I missed that.
It is the fastest selling console they've ever had.
All right, here is the extent so far of my Switch 2 experience.
Okay.
At the Giant Bomb House, somebody had the tablet part without the Joy-Cons up on a kickstand, and I saw some Mario Kart running on it.
There you go.
Nice.
Okay. You've experienced it.
And then I briefly played Kunitsugami and Street Fighter 6 on a TV with detached Joy-Cons at the Capcom area, let's say. I have yet to hold a complete Switch. I've either held with the Joy-Cons attached to nothing or seen the tablet on a kickstand. That's about it so far.
Switch 2, it sounds like folks were able to go to some stores and get some. There were some lines. I think they might be a little tougher to get now. That were a little past.
Yes, I've been like eyeballing stock trackers a little bit here and there, and thank you to everybody who has offered to sell me a Switch 2. I'm committed to just holding out and seeing when I can buy one from a store at this point. Like, I kind of want to track that status and see how it goes. You know, nobody loves dealing with stock trackers and like trying to snipe, you know, against bots and stuff like that. But like, I'm kind of curious to see how quickly it comes back in stock.
Yeah,
I will say this. If I hadn't been getting ready for Summer Game Fest, I might have gone to Costco on launch day, because apparently like there were some retailers, and Costco was one, that just held their launch day stock back for in-store, and you could just walk into a Costco and buy a Switch 2 on launch day.
I get the impression that Nintendo very much overcorrected as far as like getting stuff into stores, because they're not sure when they're going to be able to restock based on, you know, tariffs and other things going on.
Yeah,
so they just wanted to make sure there was as much available on day one as they could.
Yeah, well, you know, part of the narrative, and this was obviously never confirmed by Nintendo, but supposedly they were going to launch last fall, you know, and that was some of the reporting out of like Bloomberg Japan was like, because of this delay, they were going to have time to make a bunch more of them and have a much larger launch allocation. But yes, they're definitely all extremely gone since launch day for now.
Not a much bigger launch lineup, but a much bigger launch allocation, certainly.
Like, having seen it in person was like, I held those Joy-Cons and I was like, okay, these are still Joy-Cons. Like, everybody's talking about like, oh, it feels so much better. It's so much more solid. And again, I haven't felt the whole unit.
The whole unit does feel a little bit more like a beefcake.
That's good. But like, touching the Joy-Cons, I was like, okay, these still feel like Joy-Con sticks. Like, this is it's not some radical improvement in the quality of the feel of these chintzy little tiny sticks, for example.
Let's just say, okay, so I think the flow, we talked about this before we started, but the flow of this show is pretty much going to be Switch 2 stuff, and then we're going to go into a lot of Summer Game Fest stuff.
Yes. I saw a bunch of games.
And that's going to be the flow of the show. So should we just get into it? Switch 2?
Yes.
Sure. Well,
yes.
Actually, I kind of want to talk about the best thing I did in Los Angeles.
Ooh, what is...
Okay, let's start there.
Okay. Brad Shoemaker, what is the best thing you did in Los Angeles? Because Los Angeles had a lot going on recently.
That's true. Well, there's certainly quite a bit going on.
So I would love to hear about the good best thing that you have going on.
I met Tater. That was the best.
Okay, wait. Now I'm a little offended. I'm a little offended because Tater has a friend now.
That's true.
And now you might be underselling.
I met both Tater and a tiny dog.
Honey.
That's right. Honey Bun?
Honey Bun,
I think is the full.
So for folks that are completely lost now, where did you meet Tater and Honey Bun?
With all due respect to all the lovely people that I met or caught up with at Summer Game Fest, and I saw a ton of great games. It was a very productive trip overall. But Abby was kind enough to have me over for dinner one night.
That's very sweet.
Nice.
Which, first of all, I know a lot of people listening to this aren't like going to video game shows and conventions a lot, but you guys have been to a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had this experience before. I'm going to tell you right now, when you were living the convention life, which is out of a suitcase in a hotel, like eating, you know, unhealthy food left and right, running to appointments constantly. You're always on the go.
In your face.
If you have the opportunity to just go spend a couple hours at somebody's house,
Yes.
have a real home-cooked, quiet dinner,
Yeah.
and just get like a little 2-hour slice of normal life in the middle of that whole thing, I highly, highly recommend it.
That sounds downright heavenly, honestly.
It was really nice to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to like live like I'm not at a convention for 2 hours and just like chill.
And be surrounded by an adorable cat and puppy.
And I actually did not clock until I was literally in the door taking my shoes off that I was like, oh my God, Tater's here.
Yeah.
To meet Tater.
How did Tater take to you?
That cat is a dude, man.
Oh, yeah.
That cat is like, he's got a vibe. I haven't picked up a cat in like 25 years, and also that cat has got some beef to him.
That is
he's a
cat.
beef tank.
Yeah.
That is a
100%.
large cat. That is a large cat. He is so above it all, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know how to describe. You met him?
I've
Tater?
never met him in person, no.
Okay, yeah. Like Tater's, just to not belabor the point, Tater is a relatively frequent guest of our streams, I guess. I
Yeah.
would
Or
say.
at least Tater's tail.
Loves to
Right.
come on
Like-
camera.
Like
Tater's
even going back to Giant Bomb, I feel like Tater was popping up on streams like pretty frequently, right?
Yeah.
From home.
Again,
Streams from
Tater's
home.
butt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the important part.
He's just like, I don't know how to describe it. He's just very above it all. Like he just looks like vaguely annoyed all the time.
I mean,
And
that's
this is
a cat.
Abby's cat, again, for
Yeah,
folks
but
who don't know.
Yes, there's a real vibe there. Anyway, it was a
Tangy
good time.
has that same vibe a lot
It was
of
a
the
good time. Yes, yes.
Not Zeke.
And Honey Bun,
Yeah.
new addition.
How was Honey Bun?
Very excitable tiny dog. They're
Mhm.
they're very they're enjoying like very limited mixed company with each other right now. Like there's like a very slow warming up process that involves feeding little bits of shredded chicken
Aw.
Mm.
and stuff. I got to feed Tater some chicken and some cheese.
Nice.
Okay. That is awesome, and I was glad to hear that you did have a slight reprieve from the travel circuit. So,
The convention life.
yeah,
Yep.
the road weary life. All right, and thanks again to Abby for hosting.
Yes, absolutely. It was a lovely time.
Switch 2. Now,
Yeah.
we've said it before. Might be contentious. I stand by it. I think this is. I don't know how to describe it exactly. I still think the Switch 2 is a relatively strange launch of a Nintendo console. In terms of lineup, in terms of press coverage,
Yes.
it's probably
Lineup,
Yes.
definitely.
100%.
from
like,
more of a
lineup.
perspective of our bleacher seats in the kind of coverage gallery.
Vinny, if I can stop you for a second here,
Yeah.
as the person on this team who has owned a Switch 2 for a grand total of 6 days, I think I'm a little bit more, I have a little bit more of an expert sort of like perspective on this. You're right on all accounts.
Yeah, like particularly the lineup part. Like I genuinely think it might be a little too generous to call this a launch lineup.
I mean, there's more than one game. I guess that technically involves a lineup.
Is there?
I mean, there's ports.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. There's that racing game.
Yeah, there's that fast racing game, so that's 2. There's
be
the
clear.
Welcome Tour, which is almost a game.
Yeah, okay, fine. I guess actually that thing sounds like it might be a little bit cooler than I expected. Is that racing game's called Fast Fusion, right?
Fast Fusion is the new one. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot about Fast Fusion and I forgot about Welcome Tour. Sorry, Welcome Tour. But I to be clear, I am explicitly excluding the kind of Switch 2 editions of Switch 1 games.
Right.
Like it's cool that those exist, don't get me wrong, but I don't count those as launch games.
I mean, those
as
would be a
such.
part of any console lineup regardless. It's just
Right,
that right now
right.
they are doing a lot more load-bearing work than would be normal.
Okay, three brand new, genuine, like new SKUs or whatever
Yeah.
is fine. That's a lineup, I guess.
That counts.
3 games a lineup makes, I suppose.
So, Alex, as you brought up, you are the consumer portion of this Switch 2 coverage now. You have bought of your own volition. You went out there, you did the launch day thing, you got the Switch pre-order, got it, got sent. You
Showed
have
up on Thursday night.
You've got the consumer experience. Yes, please expound on your thoughts on owning a Switch 2.
Well, I will say the consumer experience was interesting in this case because it gave me a good insight into where the gig economy is at these days, because my Switch 2 was brought to me by someone driving a sedan full of boxes.
Okay.
I assume UPS contracted out to some sort of gig work company to do a lot of like local deliveries from whatever distribution warehouse they were going out of in Edison, New Jersey. So I happened to be close enough. Nothing happened. Like, box came perfectly fine. Guy was perfectly pleasant. It was just interesting to be like, hey, all these $500 consoles are basically just in the back of someone's car.
When you did the pre-order, did you get a choice between store pickup and delivery, or was that just locked in?
I didn't look because that thing was so fraught and broken. Yeah. I literally just hit the buttons as fast as I could and was not paying attention.
Yeah, it was a pretty even split on my feed, I feel like, between people who were getting them delivered on launch day, or in a lot of cases, actually the day after launch day. But then there were also quite a few people that went Wednesday night to pick them up in store.
Yes. It seemed like there was a number of people that were able to get them quicker that way.
So you got your Switch, you got the Mario Kart bundle. Yours came with the game loaded on the console?
The rights were loaded onto the hardware, which is to say that like when you go into the store, there is a pop-up that just shows up. It says, you own that Mario Kart. Do you want to download it?
I see. Okay, so it wasn't actually downloaded. Okay.
It's weird. Somebody in the press was telling me there were actually two types of bundles out there. Like there were the ones like yours, which is pretty uncommon to just have a game like keyed to your hardware. But then there were other Mario Kart bundles out there that just had a code in the box. I mean, it's not, it's kind of immaterial at the end of the day. Like they'll do the same thing eventually, but it's just kind of a weird split.
It's interesting to think about how they do that rights thing though, because like it's tied to the hardware, but when you load up the hardware, the first thing they tell you to do is, do you want to transfer all your Switch 1 shit over here right now? That's like the thing you kind of have to go through before you can get to any of that other stuff.
Well, so the person I can't remember who this was in the press I was talking to, but for the bundles where the game just kind of came available on the hardware, supposedly when you went into the store to download it, that then attached the license to your account.
Yeah, I think that's why you had to do all that stuff up front.
Right, because my first question was like, what happens if you sell your, what if there's an OLED Switch 2 in 2 years and you sell your launch Switch that had Mario Kart on it, but apparently like it's attached to your account at that point?
Yeah.
So you got Mario Kart, which is the big one.
It's the big one. It's the one.
It's the one.
Really.
I mean, look, there's a lot of other people who are very happy with their Switch, I'm sure, playing Cyberpunk on it or...
and I've actually heard those ports are good. Like, even the bigger stuff, like, it seems like that Cyberpunk port runs pretty well.
Yeah.
If and when I get my hands on a Switch 2, probably the things I will be playing are those two Zeldas.
I've heard those are run very well. We saw a little bit of Breath of the Wild during our
And
Switch.
also, was it a Link Between Worlds? We checked that. What
Echoes
the remake
Wisdom?
one?
Link's Awakening
yes,
remake and Echoes of Wisdom are the two.
Yeah, and people seem very happy with those. So I'd say outsider perspective, and Alex will get your hands on in a second. Outsider perspective, people seem happy with the Switch 2, which is great.
Yeah.
The hardware seems pretty solid.
Yeah, which is awesome. I think I haven't heard anything, knock on wood, and I haven't had my ear to the tracks on this, but I haven't heard anything about weird hardware aside from the one blip about the staples going through screens.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard some people complaining about the screen in certain light conditions, but other than that seems to be the only big issue.
And anecdotally, I've seen 2 or 3 people talking about getting a fair number of crashes, like system level crashes, just like, the whole dashboard crashed and had to reboot type stuff, but that stuff will get cleaned up in firmware updates for sure.
And that's probably, I feel like there's a margin of expected, but we've been through a few launches where sometimes stuff is overwhelming and hard to ignore. And sometimes you'll get edge case stuff and it's hard to know yet. But Alex, can you tell me about your experience hardware wise? Setting it up sounds pretty easy. You have what did you get? You got the controller, the Switch, no camera? No, you didn't get the
camera. Okay. I did buy 2 of the Pro controllers. I will say right out of the gate, I've warmed up to the new Pro controllers. I thought they were kind of samey initially, but the more I use them, I think that the D-pad and the general feel of the controller is a little bit better. I have not found a use case for those under paddle buttons at all yet, but I'm sure I will come up with something at some point. But the actual controller build is really nice.
Those are mappable, right? Those kind of paddle buttons, you just assign any other button.
And if you don't assign them anything, it doesn't matter if you hit them. It doesn't do anything in the game. So
okay, have you done anything demanding on the D-pad yet? Because the D-pad on the Pro Controller 1 was garbage, let's say, in a lot of use cases.
Define heavy.
It was anything where accuracy really matters. So fighting games, or my specific problem with the first one was playing a lot of Tetris 99.
Sure.
Because the D-pad on the first Pro controller was really bad about registering phantom inputs on diagonals. Like if you're trying to hit right or slightly right, and it would pull inputs on directions adjacent to the directions you were hitting sometimes.
Right.
And that's ruinous in Tetris when hitting up makes you drop the piece, and you would just accidentally drop pieces when you didn't want to. So I had to move to handheld for that one.
So I didn't get the Street Fighter 6 port for Switch 2 because I already own it on other stuff, but I did play around with some of the fighting game ports that were in the classic game buckets on there. I played some Street Fighter 2, whichever one was on the Genesis that they have up. I had very little issue with it registering quarter circles or whatever else I was trying to do playing around with that. it just has a better, like, it just feels like a better D-pad in general. I'm sure there are probably some edge problems with it that I maybe haven't run into yet, but it just feels better.
Okay, I did like an informal poll on Blue Sky, and people also generally seem to agree that the D-pad is way better. I mean, it's a fucking D-pad. Like, Nintendo's been making these for 45 years almost. Like, they should know what they're doing.
It just feels like they put a little more emphasis on some of the button stuff on this controller versus the Pro last time around.
Yeah, have you used the headphone jack? Like, that's the reason to get a Pro controller for me this time.
I haven't yet, but I'm sure I will in the near future. I haven't done a lot of handheld playing so far. I did it just to kind of test it out and see how, it looked. And I'm able to say, at least in the lighting conditions in my home, I did not have any issues with the screen. It also looked pretty good to me. It is very weird to be contemplating a Nintendo console with HDR capabilities. That is a thing that when we came down and did this stream on Friday, I was like, oh, right, I have to turn HDR off on this thing because it has that now. It feels like a technology that Nintendo should never know about.
What else hardware-wise? Anything else to talk about?
I mean, I'll say the system transfer stuff was really easy.
Okay.
Other than having to do a couple of login dances with like QR codes and shit, which I find kind of obnoxious, but was still relatively quick. Like the actual hold the Switch near it and then it just does the full data transfer thing is really weird and seamless.
Oh, they're doing the Apple thing now?
Yeah, and it worked really well. Like it just worked and it was done in about 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
So
you have to re-download all the games.
Yeah.
But all your
profile
account data, all the stuff that is just like background data that it needs for your Switch goes over.
Now, have you checked what state that leaves your Switch 1 in?
I haven't.
Okay, I'm really curious about that because I'm not
husk
sure
of a console.
Right, and
well, I've heard it might have bricked some people's consoles, but I don't think it's supposed to do that.
I'm just wondering, does it move everything off of the Switch 1, or does that leave all that stuff intact? Like
I think what it does is it basically turns your Switch 2 into your default Switch, like your main Switch,
your primary.
Yeah.
I think my biggest question, maybe people listening to this can answer this, is what happens to your Animal Crossing island, because those islands are tied to the hardware, not to the account.
Right.
Was my memory of how that worked. I think it was a strange thing, but like I wonder, like, does your island get moved over to your Switch 2, for example? Because I ask because I might want to leave my island on my Switch 1.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah, there's always details.
Here's what I do know is that I think the way it's supposed to work, at the very least, your Switch 1 is still supposed to be functional and still do the things it's supposed to do. I'd heard that there were some people who had errors with that, but I don't think that was widespread.
And so you and your partner both had profiles. Both of those went over? Did it ask you which ones?
If I wanted both, and I said yes.
So you can select which profiles you want to bring over? Okay. I guess, there's another thing, too, that and this is probably a multi-Switch household can answer this question, but I think they changed some of this, and I'm sorry if this is very well-worn information. I think it might be, but what happens if somebody tries to log in as you, Alex, on your Switch 1 while you're playing your Switch 2, right? Like, will it say this is in use or this game is already being played? I think this is a multiple Switch household problem. Will has talked a little bit about this. And the reason I bring that up is, that's where we will be. I wonder if my son on his profile, I have to look this up. I think this has been talked about. I think Nintendo changed some of this. On his profile, wants to play a game while I'm playing the game or a similar game or a game I own on the Switch 2, right?
Yeah, you're going to need to do a crash course on that new virtual game card thing that they rolled out, because they backported that to the Switch 1 as well.
Oh
like
yeah,
that's
those
in
now?
effect. That is in effect on the Switch 1 now, and as of the last major system software. So like that's, and I haven't learned the ins and outs of all that stuff, but that's how they're managing like loaning your games to people and.
Well, I assume on the Switch we should stop talking about this because it's just. I think I could just look this up.
You definitely can find the information, but it's definitely complicated. Of like, what happens if you try to play the same game on two consoles? What happens if you loan it to somebody and then want to play it? Like,
or even a game that I own on the original Switch 1 that he wants to play, and I'm playing a different game I own. Right? Like, we'll find out soon enough. The hardware wise, though, it's been in its new dock. Anything fun with the dock? Or
I've heard that dock runs hot. I haven't run into that issue in any major way. I did kind of put my hand near it to see if it was like superheated or something, but other than feeling a little warm, I wouldn't say it was that bad.
Does the new dock have an active fan in it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And it has a LAN
some vents
port
as well.
Does it have a networking port?
Yes, it does.
Does it have a USB-A or just USB-C slots on it?
It's A.
It is? There's
The external ones are A. I think I talked to
There's
somebody
one
that had
USB-C slot in there.
Yeah.
And then there's two A's.
Okay. And you did not get the camera.
I did not get the camera at some point. So that the game chat thing is the one thing I have not messed with at all yet, because I've not had the opportunity to go in and do any multiplayer stuff with like actual friends versus randos at this point. But I'm going to check it out at some point. I do have some old cameras that will probably work with that thing.
Yeah, that thing will apparently just about any normal USB webcam you throw at that thing will work just fine.
I think like super fancy new ones maybe don't work super well, but like general like, you know, like Logitech style webcams I think work.
I saw somebody on my feed had plugged a Game Boy camera into that thing to use.
Nice.
Great.
Like through some like Super Nintendo to, I don't even know how they were doing it, but a chain of adapters had gotten a Game Boy camera to act as the camera on the Switch 2 game chat.
That's fucking sick.
Nintendo ecosystem.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about the software. Mario Kart World.
Let me get to Mario Kart World last, just real quick here, because I will say, with there being something of a dearth of new games to play, we did try out the Welcome Tour thing briefly. I think that thing sucks out loud, personally. But
really interesting. Like, Will was really into it.
I didn't get much past the first little section of games you sort of play around in, but that is not a thing you should charge money for.
I mean, sure, I could definitely see that.
It just it feels so perfunctory.
Did you do the thing with the haptics, the magnets? That was the one. Like he basically made it sound like some of the getting a feel for some of the tech in that thing was like actually kind of cool in there. Like they can use the haptics to make sounds apparently.
Yes, they can,
which is kind of neat.
I don't have a problem with an educational tour of your console. Like I think the gameplay that they have created for that is extremely slight and therefore not really that interesting to me.
Yeah.
But again, in a free piece of software, I would have zero negative opinions about it. I'd be like, whatever,
Yeah, I get it.
$10 for that thing is stupid.
And the quizzes seemed like the quizzes were funny.
That made me very excited. Actually, I want to take some
Nintendo quizzes.
Yeah, take your quizzes. It to me that stuff just did not work for me at all. The other thing, Well, so the other thing I spent a bunch of time other than Mario Kart is I finally really spent some time trying to play around with their classic game stuff, because I barely ever touched that shit on the Switch, and I was just like, you know what, I'm paying for the extra one because I want to try the GameCube stuff and just see what's there. There's not very much right now, but I was just like, I want to see how much of a library they've built up for these other classic game things, and just see what's available. And I gotta say, I know sometimes games cycle in and out of there.
Yeah.
Kind of a bummer, generally, the lineup for a lot of those classic sections. Like
even beyond the GameCube stuff?
Yeah, like it's not that there's nothing. There absolutely are like good games in there. It just feels like by now those things should be a lot more populated than they are.
Sure. I haven't been in there much. I think it's still Nintendo and Super Nintendo are free, right? Those are the
free ones.
Well, they're not free, but they're on the low tier. So like they're on the non-expansion pass.
And then it's
stuff.
Game Boy Advance, N64,
regular Game Boy, N64, Genesis, and now GameCube.
Yeah. The only thing, again, I'm not too familiar with what is in those higher ones. It's just that there are so many other ways to get those games that you're right. I agree with you. They probably should have a lot more in there, because you want the least barrier to entry to play those, right? If you're paying for it.
I mean, that's exactly the reason I haven't messed with that stuff that much, is because I own a tiny Nintendo, a tiny Super Nintendo, and a tiny Genesis that I have outfitted with more games than they're supposed to have. Like I have that avenue for that stuff. And so, the whole thing, I'm just like, if you're doing this and you're charging people for it, like you have to at least have like a pretty reasonably robust library, right? And I gotta say, even at like the NES and SNES level, there's some good stuff in there, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's missing too. Like that just would be like top line games of like, what should you get for these systems?
Yeah, it is starting to feel like they should maybe try to bring a little more something more unique and Nintendo-like to that feature, because like emulators are available on everybody's phone at this point. Like even on iOS, you can just get emulators at this point and put ROMs on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe their rights management stuff is trickier when they're trying to go through the proper channels, well,
the other thing is also there's a lot of classic game collections out there. Like there's all the Neo Geo arcade classics. So like there's all these companies that are doing their own collections of this stuff. So it's probably they're also running into people being like, yeah, we're already selling that game. We don't want to put it on your thing.
Fair. What'd you think of the GameCube stuff?
I mean, here's the thing I will say about it. The lineup is not very strong right now. It's literally 3 games and then 3 PAL versions of those games. But but booting them up, that's the best Soul Calibur 2 has ever looked to me.
It did look pretty good on that stream.
Like, that is a really, it's not the remake, but that is still a very nice, sharp-looking version of the Wind Waker. Man, I fucking forgot how fast that F-Zero game is. Holy shit.
That's very fast.
It does run really well on that hardware. Would you believe?
That was extremely fast.
It was always that fast. That's the thing.
We've just gotten slower.
Yeah.
Before,
Oh, sorry. So you have not tried Fast Fusion, that new racing game, right?
No, I did not buy that. So I played the last Future racing game that came out, I guess, when around the Switch launch, and I was just like, that game's all right. I didn't see anyone like getting super jazzed about that game, so I didn't run out and buy it.
And you didn't try the dedicated mouse games like Civ or Nobunaga, right?
No, I will probably grab Civ at some point. I'm going to tell you right now, Nobunaga's ambition has never been my ambition.
Okay, you don't share the ambition.
No, not so much.
So, in the course of messing around with this thing, did you wind up dropping down to the mouse control much at all natively, or you just when it called for it?
Yeah, just when it calls for it.
Okay,
but it works.
I'll say I played Kunitsugami with the mouse.
And what'd you think
at the Capcom thing? Because that's how they were kind of billing it on the demo station. But so it was right Joy-Con mouse for camera control.
Okay.
And attacks on the face buttons, but you still held the other Joy-Con normally and used the stick to move or to run around.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right. Like,
is there a learning curve with that?
Kinda.
Okay.
It's. I mean, part of the disconnect, at least with that one for me, is that I've never used a mouse as camera control on a third-person action game, period, let alone on a Switch. Like, I wouldn't do that on the PC either, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of a weird control scheme. Like, it would make more sense for a first-person shooter, for sure. Like, maybe the nicest thing I can say about it is you don't have to go into the options and change the mode back if you don't want to do that anymore.
Oh,
it just detects the orientation. If you just lift it off the table and hold it normally again, it'll go straight back to analog stick controls. So you can at least dynamically just go back and forth whenever you feel like it.
There's actually something kind of interesting in you saying that that I hadn't thought about, which is some kind of hybrid control, like analog stick and mouse, which could be interesting.
The person manning or the person like attending the kiosk there actually had to tell me because I was like trying to use 2 mice and figure like, how does this work with a third person game?
Yeah.
And she actually was like, no, you hold the left one normally and use the stick to run around like normal, but use the right one as a mouse.
Somebody could do something cool with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible for sure.
All right, Alex, are you ready to get into pull back the curtain on Mario Kart World?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to be real. There's not that much to pull the curtain back on at this point that people probably haven't already heard. But here are my top line thoughts on Mario Kart as someone who has played a shit ton of all the Mario Karts over the course of that franchise's lifespan. They are clearly building on what they did in Mario Kart 8 in terms of like the gameplay feel and the overall look of the game and all that stuff. I'm all for that because I still think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is probably the best version of that game there has ever been. I think the racing feels great. I think it looks really sharp. I think the soundtrack is fantastic. I have 2 major gripes.
Okay.
They're probably similar gripes to what a lot of other people have, but here they are. One, I don't like the way they have blended courses.
You do not like?
No, I don't. I wish the courses each had individual personalities more than a blend of multiple kind of like themes, because when you are playing the Grand Prix, what you do is you start off at one course and then it's treated like it's a road trip. Like there's a series of courses you are going through. And in fact, all the courses remaining in the Grand Prix go with a running start. Like you're starting from the previous course and then you're moving into the next one. And then it's the same way, like from there and then to the end. Like it is the beginning. You begin the second course at the end of the previous course. And then it gets you to the next theme, whatever it is, fucking Bullet Bill Land or fucking Donkey Kong's Factory or whatever it is.
Like the tracks are like physically connected. Like you don't hit a loading screen. There's no transition. You like quite literally roll off of one onto the next, or
So the way the game builds them out is as individual courses, but it's more like half of it is sort of themed like the last one, and then the other half is sort of themed like the next thing.
So they're like blended together?
Yes, they're blended together because that's how the environment is set up when you're in the open world. Is like everything kind of connects into each other.
That was my ultimate question. Is this literally just lifted from the open world map? This is not a separate mode. Like that's how the tracks are arranged in the canonical open world. Okay,
100%.
Okay. So that means they can only be in the one order then?
Well, in the Grand Prix, yes.
I mean, I guess that's standard for Grand Prix anyway, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, it's not that the courses are bad. I actually think most of the course designs are pretty fantastic. It's just one of those like things where it's like every Mario Kart up to this point, the tracks have just been one thing. It's Peach's Raceway. It's fucking, Toad's Police Station, whatever the fuck it is, like Coconut Mall. Here, I feel like that kind of loses some of the track identity. Like, I don't always remember exactly which course is this, because my partner put this best. If you tell me I'm going to a dinosaur course, I want to see dinosaurs the second I am in front of that line and Lakitu is counting me down. I don't want to have to wait until halfway through this course to get my dinosaurs.
Too long to dinosaur.
Too long to dinosaur. Now, that's a minor complaint. Grand scheme of things, the game is still very fun. I'm enjoying playing through the different courses. I like the knockout tour stuff. It's long, but I think that stuff is pretty fun.
Is that the one that'll like sets thresholds? Like, hey, if you're not at least number 18 by the end of this one, you're done. Like that sounds fun. I want to try that.
They're a little more marathon-y than the regular Grand Prix, but I think they're pretty fun, and especially online, like they can get pretty hectic. The other big thing is the open world. So I want to emphasize my issues with this, my partner does not have at all. She does not care about the things I am about to complain about. She is having a grand old time playing around in this thing because I think it is just hitting the notes she wants. That said, the open world design has some problems. Everyone has called it empty. I'm not going to go so far as to call it that. I do think it's a little thin. I think that the number of challenges and secrets to find, I mean, granted, I have certainly not plumbed all the depths and found all the secrets or anything like that, but so far, what I've found mostly doing the open world stuff is every once in a while you drive into something, you do it, and then you just drive somewhere else, and then maybe you hop into a different area, and then you're just kind of wandering around. It doesn't have that hectic feel of something like a Forza Horizon or anything like that. Like, especially because when you go off-road, you slow down. And I think that's something you should turn off if you are doing an open world mode, because it makes the idea of getting off track seem like it sucks.
Like a little tedious.
And that seems kind of the point here, is you should be driving off track to find stuff.
How slow do you go? Like miserably slow?
I mean, it's like, it's not completely miserable, but it definitely feels more like, when you're in a race and you go off track, like you kind of go like half speed.
Like they should have some open world off-road mode built in. Because you don't want that during the race, but in the off-roading parts.
Yeah, just in the off-roading parts. Yeah. When you're just driving around in the world and nothing's going on, like they should just turn off the thing that makes you slow when you're in the dirt.
Or like do some fun Nintendo thing where like, chains come over your tires or something when you're in the open world.
Whatever.
Right. Yeah, right. Just whatever relieves you of that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I only saw a little bit when you were streaming of some of the events, but are they mostly like music block style things in Mario games where you're going to pop a thing and now go do a little mini game?
Of what I've seen so far, there's pop a P switch, and then there's a bunch of blue coins you need to go collect as fast as possible. Like you need to race to this area while a whole bunch of enemies like are blocking your way, kind of stuff. And that stuff is reasonably fun. Yeah, like I'm enjoying discovering it. It's just, it feels like maybe there's just not quite enough of it yet.
Okay. Are there any kind of like persistent unlocks or anything to like earn doing the open world? Like, I mean, I guess this franchise doesn't really do like cosmetic stuff for your characters, does it?
Yes, it does now.
Is that new?
So in the last game, there were a few like variations, like there was like Cat Mario and there was like Golden Mario and stuff like that, but those weren't like specific costumes you would unlock. They were more like, here's a new version of this character that has different stats.
Okay. So
here, there are outfits to unlock. You mostly get them by hitting the fast food like stations around the environment. Like you pick up a food item as one of the main named characters. It doesn't work for everyone. Like Cow does not get special outfits, but like Mario and Wario do.
Cow don't need special outfits.
Yeah, Cow is just Cow.
Everyone knows Cow.
But so you get those outfits. The way the game's this is a minor complaint, but it is one thing that I think is actually a little surprising. They kind of did it this way. Their character select screen sucks. It's long. It's like multiple menus long. And part of the reason for that is because they treat new outfits as unlocks. Like they are characters that are being added to that screen instead of you hover over Mario and you switch to a different outfit. It's like, no. Racer Mario's down here. And then, Biker Wario is all the way down at this level. And it's like, I don't know why you would do that if these characters don't really have different stats.
That is very strange. Like fighting games figured this out 30 years ago.
Yeah. And like Mario Kart, I understand you don't do a lot of this outfit cosmetic stuff, and now you realize everyone does that now, so you have to. But like, there's got to be a better way.
I'm glad it's in there. Like,
yes,
because who wants to just play a video game to have fun with it? If I'm not earning something, what's the fucking point?
Yeah,
folks.
If I can't put Wario in leather chaps,
meters up. Okay?
Why am I here?
Yeah. Take your hands away from the keyboard, folks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm excited to jump in and try it out. We went over a little bit of this between the racing and the open world, but if I'm playing local split screen stuff, what happens when the open world stuff happens with other people who are local?
So what it seems like to me is that you can race around in the open world with whoever it is you're co-oping with, but you can't collect anything if you're the second player.
Okay, so it's a primary player's game. My
understanding is you cannot do split screen, quote unquote, free roam.
No, you have to be on the same screen, basically.
You have to, and there's like some trick where if it's like, I didn't quite understand this. If you're like setting up for a race, you get into some kind of like lobby mode.
Yes.
We'll give you some very limited split screen free roam capability, but it's very limited. And it's like literally says like waiting for other players at the bottom. And it's not like the proper mode.
Right.
But you can't do quite literal, like let's just go into free roam and split screen and go wherever we want.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think Nintendo maybe just slightly messed up by trying to promote the open world as much as they did, because it's not that it's not a hook. It's just that it feels more like a ancillary thing that became a hook somewhere along in development. Like they thought this was a neat idea, and then someone was like, we should hang our hat on this thing. And it's like, we don't have enough for that yet, but I guess we can finish this game now.
Yeah, I mean, looking at as long as 8 lasted and how much they supported it, like you could see them maybe bolting on to this open world, like adding more to do over time, even if it's like a paid DLC. Like this game's going to be with us for quite a while.
I fucking hope so, because again, I think you could populate that world with a lot of cool shit if you take the time and do it. The problem is, we remember what happened with Animal Crossing last time.
Yeah,
they had a year of playing content, and apparently no one at any point said, maybe we should do more?
Yeah, you're probably right. But also, like, hearing you say that it could have been Burnout Paradise makes me so sad. It's like Burnout Paradise, but Mario Kart is like the most exciting thing you could say about a Mario Kart to me.
Well, if you the racing itself, in the races, the cups,
great,
all great. Okay,
feels great.
Okay.
Like it is very tight feeling. Like the flying and the water stuff is pretty cool. I feel like
power ups fun.
Yeah, new power-ups are generally very good. I think the like I said, other than the theming stuff, I think the course designs, by and large, are quite good. I just have a very hard time like separating them out in my mind, because aesthetically they all kind of run together to me. And it's like, I know that's a minor problem in the grand scheme of things, but it's like, when I think of Coconut Mall, I think of Coconut Mall. I don't think of a bunch of other random attached things. I think of that motherfucking mall.
If you were to pick up, you're done with the Switch 2 launch stuff. You're now just living that Switch 2 life. Mm-hmm. You want to go relax with some Mario Kart. You're playing this one. Is this your new Mario Kart?
Yeah, I think for the foreseeable future. I still like 8, and I will certainly probably go back and play it every now and again.
There's a lot of courses in 8.
Dude, there's so fucking many courses. And I'm not going to give them shit for not having anything even close to equivalent to that, because they basically doubled their course level. Like within recent years. So I feel like the number they have at launch, which is I think 28 to 32, somewhere around there, feels totally fine for like a launch of this game.
Actually, how does World look to you? Like, just having played a shitload of 8, like 8 obviously is like a very good looking game, even for being an old, like it's a
Wii U port,
13-year-old game now or whatever. But like, is World like qualitatively better looking than? I mean, I would hope so.
Yes, but like at the same time, it's still Nintendo's house art style, so it just looks like that, but it runs really nicely. It's very smooth, and I'd say it's just a little bit more detailed than 8 was.
Sure.
Well, I mean, that's your first party launch title. Of course, there are upgrades to a bunch of other Nintendo games, which sounds like they are actually pretty substantial performance upgrades, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But is it Mario 64?
Is what Mario 64?
Mario Kart. It's our launch game.
No, it's Mario Kart.
It is Mario Kart.
They're different franchises, Vinny.
I regret to tell you that I don't think anything is ever going to be Mario 64 again.
I was trying to think back to what other things launched. Nintendo has had hit or miss launches.
Yeah, totally.
Thin lineups.
I get what you're saying. I mean, what I mean is that too much of the groundwork has been laid now for what a video game is.
Yeah.
Like Mario 64 did so much of the work of defining what a 3D platformer should be. Like video games are too mature, unfortunately, I think, at this point for there to be another game of that nature.
It was interesting seeing some people have conversations about whether or not this was like a terrible launch or a great launch, and I really don't know, because I think a lot of what's here is not necessarily for me.
Yeah,
but some people arguing that the N64 was the worst launch, and it's like, dude, Mario 64 is pulling a lot of weight there.
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy to hear to me.
It
was two games, right? Wasn't it just
Pilot Wings? I think.
I think it was it just Mario 64 and Pilot Wings? I don't remember, actually.
I think it's Mario 64 and Pilot Wings.
But it wasn't that long before it started getting more stuff, I feel like.
Was there anything else?
I don't know.
I think that was it. I think it was just those two, right?
I've got an infographic here, which is pretty well done.
Oh no, wait, hang on. I think Shadows of the Empire was launch.
Okay, I knew that one had to be close.
Yeah, I think, and maybe Turok as well, actually. Okay, that's maybe a little, that's decent.
Are those in the window? Because then at that point, are you counting Donkey Kong?
Those are considered launch titles, at least in Europe. So I would say those games probably came out like within a week of that console coming out.
You're right. It was only in Europe that Shadows of the Empire was the launch game. It was just Mario 64 and Pilot Wings in the US.
But Turok came pretty close after, and so did I know Shadows of the Empire did, because the first time I saw anyone playing an N64, they showed me Shadows of the Empire, like, you got to see this shit.
I mean, like, Mario 64 is like the one launch game that could get away with being the only launch game.
Yeah, I don't think Mario Kart has that kind of stroke.
Like Pilot Wings, whatever. Like, I like Pilot Wings fine, but like if they had only launched with Mario 64, that's fine.
GameCube looks like Luigi's Mansion, which is pretty good.
It was also like 3 hours long.
Rogue Leader.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is this just gonna become a ranking of
Nintendo launches?
Ranking of the canonical flagship Nintendo launch title per platform? Because that's actually a hard conversation.
That's a little bit
to me. Fucking between Super Mario World, Mario 64, and Breath of the Wild, I actually don't know where I would land on like which one of those is actually the best
for your top tier.
Yeah, those are.
Okay, I think you have to have a couple of conversations there, right? Like, I think there is the academic side of it, which would probably be a little Mario 64. The personal Vinny side would probably be Mario World.
Easily. Like in my heart,
1000%.
In my heart, it is 100%
also,
Super Mario World.
Super Nintendo launch, according to this graphic here, SimCity for the SNES. Now
was that launch?
Oh, the best version of SimCity, you mean?
Yeah.
Was that launch?
According to this little graphic I have for these launch titles, these are US and Japan only.
Great version of SimCity.
Mm-hmm.
F-Zero, Pilot Wings, Mario World, SimCity, and Gradius. That's
not a bad.
You plug that
Gradius
console in. What's that?
Was it Gradius 3?
I can't read the box art from here. I don't know which Gradius.
Okay, you tell me if you agree with this or not.
Okay.
I think if you are judging console launches, you have to start from the 16-bit era up, because I think the NES, when it came out here, no one knew what the fuck that thing was. It just sort of showed up. Rob the Robot was there. Check out this weird plumber guy. No one was it took like a year, if not longer, for that thing to start gaining cultural purchase here.
Right. I mean, like famously, the NES launched into the New York test market, right? Like it was like the whole industry was so down after Atari's collapse that they like kind of stuck a toe in.
Yeah.
Sure.
For the first holiday just around New York before it went national.
But I think if you were judging the concept of the console launch as we know it now, it starts from the 16-bit era and it goes from there.
I think this GameCube launch seems a little light.
Yes.
I don't remember that having a lot of stuff.
That's my memory. I don't remember there being much. I remember looking at that launch and thinking like Luigi's Mansion looks really cool, but also like let's get real here. Where is the Mario?
Yeah.
Like
Wave Race is in there.
And then we found out where the Mario was, and we wished Mario had not come along.
Wait, where was the Mario?
In Sunshine.
Oh.
Mario went to Delfino Island.
It was a changed man. Wii launch.
So dominated by Wii Sports and Twilight Princess that
in every Ubisoft game.
I think you're in a little bit of a Mario.
Red Steel.
Yeah, Red Steel.
Everybody's still talking about Red Steel.
I think you're a little bit in a Mario 64 territory of like, well, like the new thing is so new that
right.
Like the Wii Sports is so different that it kind of carries a lot of weight there. All right, Wii U. At this point, Wii U is. I mean, this is like half as if this is Ubisoft.
Of course it is. Yeah, that was all they were doing at that point.
What did Nintendo have at launch for the Wii U?
We got Sonic Racing Transformed. We got Epic Mickey 2. We got is that Darksiders 2? Batman. Remember that?
Yeah,
that's right. The Wii U launch was just dominated by like 360 ports. Yep. Basically, it was just like, hey, Nintendo finally has a console that can run these 7-year-old games.
Nintendo Land, Skylanders. Mass Effect 3. Nintendo Land.
Right. Nintendo Land was like the big first party new game.
Well,
right?
Super Mario Bros. U is on there too. I don't know if that's its official.
Is that
that
new
was
Super
launch.
Mario Brothers U?
Yeah.
That was launch, I believe. Yeah.
Zombie U, remember that?
Yes, indeed.
Assassin's Creed, all the Ubisoft hits. Funky Barn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Tell me about Funky Barn.
Light as well.
Take me to the Funky Barn.
You cannot. It's closed. So maybe that's the weaker one.
Yeah, Funky Barn has been permanently closed.
Yeah, I think of the modern era, or well, not even modern, like of every console, I guess Wii U was probably the weakest launch lineup.
Launching with a good Mario Kart, I think, is better than the Wii U.
Yeah. I mean, there's a special place in my heart for the Wii U, but yeah, that was not a great launch lineup.
Are you telling me the worst Mario Kart on Earth is superior to Funky Barn?
I might be willing to stand by that statement.
Okay.
And then, of course, we have Zelda on the Switch, which again carried a lot of weight there.
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild, you mean?
Yeah, Breath of the Wild. I'm trying to see what else on the Switch at launch was 1-2 Switch. You know?
Yeah, it was like I think ARMS was launch, right?
ARMS, I think, came slightly
was
after.
ARMS not right
I'm
there?
Seeing it on
maybe it was after.
Snipper
I think
Clips,
it was a little
though.
bit after. Snipper Clips, yes.
Yeah. 64 Mario Kart's a big one. It's Nintendo's or Super Nintendo is probably my top here. Like,
yeah, I would agree.
That's a murderer's row on that lineup. F-Zero, Pilot Wing, SimCity, Super Mario World, whatever Gradius that is.
Those are all good games.
Lest anyone think I am joking when I say that is the best version of SimCity, I am not.
I played SimCity on the Commodore 64. I did not play it on like a IBM or stronger a DOS version, let's say. And I also agree that's a fun ass version of SimCity.
Yeah.
Very small map, but
other than that, yeah.
SNES was the first version of SimCity I ever saw.
So anyway, I'm glad we could settle all of that. So maybe a weird launch, but not the weirdest Nintendo launch.
No.
And again, when I say weird, I mostly mean from the press side.
Like they didn't send them out early.
Ubisoft not being there. Is it
Ubisoft
like when you think about, hey,
Ubisoft's not anywhere right now.
No, Ubisoft's in court. When you think about, hey, you guys in particular, here's your stack of games for the launch, right? Like it would have been a weird one of covering a lot of the ports, right?
Yes.
And then covering.
Yes, if I was back in the GameSpot days and we were just staying over the weekend, like to fucking check out, write reviews of these Yakuza and Cyberpunk ports, it would be a little weird.
Or even later in the, like when the Giant Bomb MO became like, let's just get all the launch games and just stream them end to end until we play them all, like that still would have been like 80% checking out Switch 1 games.
Yep.
Most of that stream would have been, let's check out these Switch 2 editions of, it's...
Well, I mean, look, these are unique games for the Switch 2. Like, these are unique releases in a lot of...
Some of them
new
are,
SKUs, new technically separate games. Apparently, those are backwards compatible if you buy the physical version.
Wait, no
If you buy the physical version of the Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild, for example, and put it in a Switch 1, it will play as the Switch 1 version is what I saw.
Oh, wild.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's cool. It's, the red cartridges, like the new Switch 2 red cartridges. Like if you buy the Switch 2 cart version of one of those Switch 2 editions.
But like,
it'll still play as the old Switch 1 version in a Switch 1 is what I believe I saw Digital Foundry saying.
But you're not going to go buy that Switch 2 Cyberpunk and pop that into a Switch.
No. It has to be one of those like the Zeldas that existed on the previous console, but it's cool. It's cool that they
play
did that.
games that didn't exist on your Switch 1.
Like for the 8 people out there that have only a Switch 1 and didn't buy something like Breath of the Wild, they could buy that new version.
Got it.
Now and play it on their Switch 1 and then bring it over to the Switch 2 and play the better one.
Well, Switch 2 is out there. I look forward to seeing the more Switch stuff. It sounds like this, Vinny's take is this sounds like a very good Switch.
Yeah.
It
is
maybe not necessarily groundbreaking as a new console, but it sounds like the best Switch we've ever had.
Yeah, it's been interesting, like trying to make sense of the perceptions out there and some of the press coverage, because like I heard this around Summer Game Fest a little bit, and like you see headlines as well of people going like, "Oh, it's like the Super Switch you've been waiting for," or it's like, "Here's your Switch Pro" or whatever, and it's like it's weird because like under the hood, this thing is every bit the PlayStation 5 to the Switch 1's PlayStation 4, right? Like it is absolutely a new generation of hardware, like orders of magnitude faster and everything, and I think that really just comes down to the
form factor,
lack of new gimmick.
Oh,
like,
sure, yeah.
Like, when was the last time Nintendo just launched a better version of the previous console? Like, arguably the Super Nintendo or N64.
I would say that, yeah.
Like, at latest, the GameCube, even that had an optical drive, but otherwise was basically just a faster console, But from the Wii on, it was like every new console since the Wii has had like a thing.
It's mouse controls, I mean.
It's like, yes, that's right, man. People are really selling mouse controls short. But it's just like people are not used to Nintendo just making a better version of the thing anymore because like And my only answer to that is that the gimmick in the Switch, I've said it before, is so killer.
Yeah.
That why the fuck would you do anything but to mess with, like, I hesitate to use the word perfection, but like the Switch basically like spawned this whole cottage industry of handhelds, It's like that, like I don't think they wanted to mess with such profound success. Like I wouldn't.
And it seems like, opening numbers are really good. We'll see what the long tail on that is. I suspect, I don't know, it could be wrong, but do you think this beats out the pace for? I know initially it's beating out the pace for the Switch, but you think in a year this beats out the Switch?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Like the kind of economic conditions and tariffs and everything are so fraught, and this thing is so much more expensive than the Switch 1 was.
Yeah, I'll be very curious to see.
I don't
know where we are in a year if the Switch sold extremely well. And so, I'll be very curious to see what the availability is, how the numbers sell. If it even runs into any of the kind of Wii U stuff of like, you've already got a Switch, any of that stuff. I can tell you again, now that I'll check in here. Now that the Switch 2 is out, my son said there are more of his friends that are like interested in the Switch 2. Now that release
the buzz is now hitting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before it was like kind of crickets, and now there's a little more of, I don't know if it's like a FOMO, but because not everybody's into Mario Kart, but it is definitely, hey, are you getting a Switch 2?
I bet a lot of the conversion will just depend on how many games are now Switch 2 exclusive, like especially in the lower tier, like indie category.
Yeah,
like how many indies are now not going to ship on Switch 1?
Yeah, and what that I don't know what's the word. And that's not attrition, but how many people slowly leave that release platform. All right. Anything else, Alex, you want to add to the Switch 2?
No,
stuff?
not really. I mean, thoughts will probably be evolving over time as more games come out and I spend more time with it. But so far, I certainly don't regret getting it.
Yeah, and I think I've got one coming today, thanks to a friend who sold me their extra purchase there. So I will check that out, and I can't wait to go check it out with the kids too and see how they enjoy it. And then, next month, a month from now, actually, it will be Donkey Kong Bonanza. So
Donkey Kong Summer can finally begin in earnest.
Yeah. And then we'll just be in games are coming out for Switch 2 worlds. When is that Dragon Drive?
I don't know. I had thought that was a launch game, and it totally is not.
I'll have to look it up again.
Oh, that's right. They only said 2025 for that, according to Wikipedia. So let me just triple check the summer. The eShop says summer right now.
All right, you only got a couple of months.
Probably not that long. Are there any other first party games announced? Besides that, and Donkey Kong.
I don't remember. Well, there's Metroid.
Of course there are. There's like the Kirby. There's that Kirby like Air Ride sequel, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yeah, Metroid. I guess I wasn't counting Metroid because that started as a Switch 1 game.
I mean, is who's making Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment?
Omega Force, probably.
Yeah, I mean that is first party. That's Nintendo publishing. So yeah, you're right. There are a couple other games.
All right. We'll wrap that up for the Switch 2 stuff for now. Plenty more Switch 2 stuff coming out. Sounds like a fantastic addition to your Switch lineup. Yeah. I'm actually kind of more excited than I was to get my hands on it. But next, we're going to talk about the Summer Game Fest, looking at today and beyond, because some stuff came out fairly quickly, and some stuff is still a ways away from Summer Game Fest. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back, and the next part of this show here is going to focus on Summer Game Fest stuff, or the things surrounding it. There is Steam Next Fest going on. We'll probably cover those demos we played.
Steve Next Fest.
Steve's
going
Next
on right
Fest.
now.
Steve Next Fest is here.
Steve Next Fest
Joining
will
us.
join us next week.
Yes, although some overlap actually between what's on Next Fest and some of the stuff I played at the thing. Actually,
I will have a live update right now and say last night I loaded up Baby Steps for my kids, but when we streamed it live yesterday with Abby, I said this is a game that I find hilarious, and my kids are going to find hilarious, and my wife is going to stone face just fucking watch this thing and be like, "What is wrong with you?
Why are you doing this?" And
turns out 100% correct as she turned over to me and realized, at least your father is cracking himself up as I was just cackling, playing it.
Not here to judge or anything, but
just dead. This is like, okay. All right. She did play and she was like, oh, okay, that's very silly. Anyway.
I am so torn about whether to play that demo or not, because I am so looking forward to that game that I'm wondering if I should just preserve the surprise of how fucked up it is to play it until the full thing is here and
save it.
Is it hard to play?
There is some challenge.
Is it like
hard to easy to play, hard to master?
Like how quap is it, I guess, is the real question. Like is it getting off the starting line is hard, like even just taking steps.
Let's talk about it next week.
We'll talk in greater length next week.
Yeah.
Because the real reason I'm so interested in that game is that I secretly want to become like a pro Baby Steps player. I want to start a channel. I want to start a YouTube channel of like pro Baby Steps trick videos and shit.
I will talk about it next week. I think. All right. Because we've got a lot to get through this week. Brad, you were down at Summer Games Fest actually with some hands-on. So let's start there with the games that you were able to A, touch, B, are able to talk about, and C, are not saving to spread out over the course of,
do this like last year, probably spread these over 2-3 weeks because it's definitely a lot for one podcast. But I'll start with a lot of the big stuff. I mean, the first thing I had was Lumines Arise, which was like the happiest I could have been about seeing any first game at a thing.
How long has it been since the last Lumines?
I got to talking to them about it. There have actually been more Luminesses than I remembered. Like there was a straight up Lumines 2 at one point.
I remember that, but that was still a while ago.
That was was that 2006? Apparently that was on the PSP. I had no memory of Lumines 2 on the PSP.
I only remember Lumines on the PSP.
Like,
so
Lumines 1, I had this Mark McDonald of Enhance fame was there, and friend of the show, also longtime friend. We both were talking about how like Lumines never left our PSPs. You know, it's like like you find your PSP in the closet after 10 years. Lumines is still in that thing.
Might as well just hot glued that thing in there.
Yep.
There was maybe I have two other games. One is what God was it? The World Ends with You or something.
World Ends with You was a DS game. I want to say
something. There was, or maybe it was Final Fantasy VII. The one with Zach. What was that one? Crisis Core?
Crisis Core is probably the one.
Okay, it might have been Crisis
one, right?
Core.
Yes, that was Crisis Core. Yes.
Okay, is that PSP also? I feel like
that is.
Like when I dug my PSP out and there was like a loose UMD or whatever they were, it was like, oh, okay. But inside, was Lumines. That was my playing game of choice. It was
Yep.
yeah.
I played Lumines Remastered on my Switch 1 on the plane down to this event.
Hell yeah. So you
5
played
days
it
ago, six days ago, because I was that hyped for a new Lumines. I played Lumines Arise.
Nice.
The concept, okay, you've played Tetris Effect.
I have.
They are very much applying the Tetris Effect thing to Lumines. Like, that's the core conceit here.
Okay.
So it's the Lumines gameplay, but it's very much like, we want to call it a synesthetic experience.
Sure, we'll go with
like
that.
Big AV treatment of the thing you're doing. It's got optional VR support, just like Tetris Effect did. Like, it's very much that, like, you know, the puzzle board is bleeding out into this massive, like, animated light show kind of thing happening all around it. It transitions from look to look in a similar way.
Mm-hmm.
The mode they started me on was just the kind of like playlist mode. The, like, you can pick the, what do you want to call them? Treatments? Stages? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I know
like
what you mean.
the art treatments, you know, like
The vibes.
they're not stages as such, because the gameplay is always the gameplay, you know, but it's the kind of like, it's the,
I always thought of them as levels. Like,
yeah, sure. Well, especially in Lumines, where there's the time, the kind of, what do you want to call the bar that moves across the screen? I'm sure there's a name for that. But like
the playhead. The
songs have, yeah, right. So songs have different tempos, and so that thing moves at different speeds, which determines how fast you're clearing matches from the screen, right?
Wait, is that not in this?
No, it is. Totally
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that I guess you could say each song is a different stage because that thing moves at different speeds.
Yeah,
So like the gameplay is changing stage to stage.
Also, from just Lumines wise, I don't know if it ever messed you up, but like when you change the aesthetic, always messed me up. Like, oh man,
Yeah, totally.
In my mind, are burned certain things. It's the song and the color of the thing. Be like, I hate this stage. It's so freaking hard.
It's like there's that one in the first game that's so slow. It's like a fifth of the speed of most of the others, and it's like, oh, now I have plenty of time to work with stuff. But then, like, oh, wait, nothing's getting cleared from the screen.
There's that one where every time you slam a block, it's like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, what did you think of this? Could you pick it up and just continue luminescing?
Yeah, you definitely, if you remember how to play Lumines, you absolutely can just pick this up and go. Like, they're getting pretty wild with some of the art treatments, though, stage to stage, to the point that, like, you know, it was not my normal playing environment. I was like right in front of this giant TV, but like it was almost a little hard to parse a few of the art treatments, like telling the two colors apart or the two designs of the two pieces. I mean, you could totally get used to it, but like it was a lot to take in.
That happened to me in the first one sometimes.
Yeah. Kind of like that.
It did seem busier during the trailer though. Like
yes, for sure. Like they said these are their numbers, not mine. They said that in the way the Tetris Effect was sort of like 30% like up tempo and in your face, and like 70% sort of chill, more like lean back, like ambient experience. This is kind of the reverse of that. And it's Lumines might as well be like a club game, right? So like that makes sense that it's more like, you know, it's more like 70-30 in favor of a little more up tempo.
I guess I like it chill though.
You get some of that, but
Lumines is so funny, even more than Tetris. It's just like you start off and you're like, of course. You just do the same pattern over and over. It's how could I ever mess up? You just build the same little pattern, and then like, you know, and 45 minutes in, you're like, God damn it! Rich Gallup was very good at
Rich. I thought that the whole time I was taking that meeting is that like Rich was the GameSpot office Lumines champ by like a mile. Well, yeah, like some people just like dialed it in a way that they could just go and never lose.
Right.
I have always felt like I was like one mechanic short of being good at Lumines. You know what I mean? Like I could certainly play it.
Breaking wide open for you.
Yes, like I never quite like built the mental model that would let me like set up multi-stage combos, you know, like dropping pieces and chaining in the way that gets you the good score. But this has you know Tetris Effect had that like zone mode where you sort of like froze time and you could keep making lines without it clearing.
Oh yes.
It's like you build up meter, right? Yep. And you cash it into. So this has a burst mode that's pretty similar to that.
Okay.
That's basically lets you build way bigger matches than you could normally because there's no timeline clearing stuff out. But also every time you're dropping, you know, there's two colors in Lumines, you know, and you're trying to make contiguous blocks of one of those two colors as big as possible. Every time you drop more of that same color of block on your giant block that's continuing to build in this burst mode, the other colors, the one you're not trying to match that are connected to that, just go flying off the screen.
Oh,
so like you're not only making a giant. I'm talking like half of the playboard is full of one colored block that you were building out. Like it's huge. Like you're not only making that block bigger, but you're clearing more space to continue making it bigger because the other color is just flying off of it as you match while you're in this mode.
But it's not like a game-breaking easy mode.
No. Well, it's short. It's very short. Like it's just like the zone mode in Tetris Effect. Like it only lasts for. It depends on how much meter you've built up when you cash it in, but it's only a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds at most.
And so Lumines has what? 2? How many different block types are there? Like
just 2
at a
time.
Two? Just like half and half, and then the diagonal.
For people who super don't know Lumines, you're talking about how many patterns?
Yeah.
Because for people who really don't know Lumines, the drops are 2x2 blocks.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 different color tiles, so any given piece is a square that is some composition of 3 and 1, 2 and 2 in a diagonal, 2 and 2 in a column.
Okay, there are 3 and 1. I guess that was my question. I forgot the 3 and 1. Okay.
Yes, you could definitely have 3 and 1.
Okay. The corner piece.
Yes.
Okay. Man, what a good game.
You always want to drop that on a single of the same color so you can make a block out of it, right? And that's the kind of thing where it's like I know that one trick, and I feel like there's probably like 3 or 4 other best practices in Lumines that have eluded me. Did
you get a sense for the flow progression? Is it what was it, Zen mode or something in Tetris Effect where you could just like go through and chill and do all the Tetris levels, like, or in that the constellations? Remember that in Tetris?
Yeah.
Effect?
So this has like kind of a quote unquote story mode like Tetris Effect did. That's like preset in order so that the transitions from one to the next are like customized. So it's almost like the Mario Kart thing. It's how do you blend? How you blend like one of these art treatments into the next one? Like that's the sort of canonical like story mode. But they've also just got like a playlist mode where you can shuffle them in whatever order, and they have more of a generic transition from one to the next. A
silly question, but maybe not so silly in today's world. Out of the box online leaderboards?
They were not talking about Z multiplayer yet.
Okay. How is Z multiplayer? We don't know. We're not talking.
Yeah, they will talk about that later. There's going to be a playable demo at some points.
Rad.
Later in the summer, I want to say.
Okay.
But they said they have some ideas for the multiplayer, but they will get into that later.
I mean, look, basic online leaderboard, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, Tetris, actually, if you remember, Tetris Effect had like a pretty interesting, or it was connected, right? I think they didn't add the multiplayer until Tetris Effect connected, I think. But it had like a pretty interesting...
The leaderboards were always there.
Maybe that's right, but connected had that actual like 4-player, or was it 3 players that had topped out? It was like a pretty interesting novel take on multiplayer Tetris that was quite different from most of the other multiplayer Tetrises I've played.
Brad,
so I hope they've got something like that in here, but they are not saying what it is yet.
Did they say anything about the PlayStation VR 2?
Just that it ships with VR support on PC and PS5.
Okay, but it's basically the same thing, same SKU, and probably
it's the same game. Same, it's just a mode, but I assume that'll work quite like Tetris Effect's VR support did, which like that was an excellent way to play that game.
Yeah,
I will 100% get my PSVR 2 out to play this.
It's listed here for the PC as well. Did they say if it's coming?
It's day and date on PC, and they're not talking about any other versions, but it is day and date on both of those. And all the music is Hydelic. I asked them because like licensed music was such a big deal in the older Lumines's. And it's like Hydelic, I believe, did quite a bit of the music in the original, I think, or maybe that's actually not right. I didn't go look at the track list.
I remembered at least a few songs by them.
There's no Mondo Grosso in this, is the point I'm trying to make. Like they're not licensing any existing music for this like they did with the first game. It's 100% a new soundtrack made for this game, which I asked, like, does that give you more kind of development flexibility to, when you have somebody writing the music for the game, you can make requests of the writing process, or you can get stems for the music or whatever. It's not like an album cut where you're just stuck with the album cut and that's all you have to work with, right? Sure. And like that, it sounds like it's very much is like it behooves the development of this thing holistically to have custom music being made for it, as opposed to just taking like a bunch of existing house music off different albums and just shoving it in there. So that's why they're doing 100% custom soundtrack.
Now you go in, my final question on this. You go in, you've seen Lumines Arise already announced. You go in, you get hands on. What are your feelings coming after that? More excited? Known quantity now. Even more excited. Great.
Well, it's pretty much what I expected it to be. Okay. Like if you've played Tetris Effect, and you've played a lot of Lumines, you can pretty much see how those two concepts would marry together. And again, it was I only saw kind of the playlist mode, like we're just going to pick some stages and let you play. Like I didn't get to dig into like what the more aesthetic story experience is going to be like and stuff like that. So there's definitely still a lot to see there, but the core of it very much is like, again, if you know those two things, you can see how they pair well.
Great. I love this.
Yes. I got a little emotional when they announced this game.
Well, let's continue bopping around here. What can you talk about next?
Let's talk about the Capcom stuff. I feel like that was probably the biggest stuff I saw there. I saw Resident Evil.
Okay, what did you see?
Let me save that for last. Actually,
okay.
It's just like weirdly the biggest deal to me is that I got to play Pragmata.
Okay, what is that?
If people don't remember, Pragmata got announced about
a long time
at
ago?
the time of the PS5 launch.
I did not remember that.
And you've probably only ever seen like cinematic trailers of it before, and it's like a dude in kind of an astronaut-y cyber suit on the moon and a little blonde girl.
Yes.
In New York with taxi cabs. Does any of this ring a bell?
Whoa.
Only in the Vegas sense. I went back and watched the original announcement. I barely remembered it, honestly.
I mean, the other reason Pragmata is notable to me is that it was basically this generation's Deep Down. Mm-hmm. Which, if you remember, Deep Down was the like fantasy action sort of Dark Souls looking game that Capcom announced at the PS4 launch and then never shipped. And like that game was never heard from again. And it's been 5 years since Pragmata was announced, at least, and so it was very much getting the same vibe of Capcom just likes to like throw a random project out at a PlayStation launch now that they might not ever actually make. But this game has defied the odds and is a playable video game because I have played it.
The trailer I found, the earliest trailer that I have here, was that little girl holding up a sign that says 2022 crossed out to release 2023 and says, I'm sorry. So this checks out. This, I did not remember any of that. And I was like, man, this has some real Big Daddy vibes going on with this, girl running around. What is this? What is the concept here?
I ran into a friend who had already played it before I had my meeting. And they told me that it had like big Vanquish energy, or if you like, perhaps big binary domain energy.
Okay. Go on.
Which really set expectations. And I would say that's like fairly accurate.
Okay.
You're this dude in this suit, and the little girl is a robot.
Uh-huh.
And she like hangs out on your back, kind of. And okay, I'll just say the whole concept of the game is that you're fighting robot enemies that you kind of can't damage until she hacks them.
Okay.
And so you are like playing pipe dreams in the middle of third person shooting to hack these robots so you can actually kill them.
Oh, I don't think I picked that up from the trailer.
I don't know if they showed. I did not see the trailer. What was that from the Summer Game Fest stream?
That was from the Sony. Yeah, from the Sony State of Play.
Was it on the State of Play?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if they've shown gameplay of this publicly. I just know what I played, which is that again, it is a third person shooter where the little girl is hanging literally like riding on your back. The cutscene where they set this up is hilarious because she's like spewing out all this like activating firewall, like there's a bunch of like tech jargon coming out of the mouth of this little blonde girl, like very gleefully kind of, it's like a weird juxtaposition of like she's talking like a computer, but she seems very excited about it, but she's like hacking people with her hands and stuff.
But I didn't realize so that part they showed kind of in the gameplay / cinematic stuff from this current one. But I didn't know you play a mini game.
The puzzle and the puzzle solving is literally like happens in line with the third person shooting, like in a mouse over sense. Like literally when you paint your target over a robot, it pops up the puzzle solving interface while the game is still moving. Like it doesn't pause the game at all. And like if you move your reticle off the robot, the puzzle solving goes away. Like it literally is just like context based.
So do you have to shoot to solve the puzzle, or it's not?
No. The puzzle game is all like D-pad driven. Like it's literally just a tile. It's just a tile puzzle. Well, there are some others that I saw later in the demo, but the basic hacking for the robots is just like it's like literally pipe dreams. It's literally just here's a grid, and you have to like chart a path through these tiles from start to finish. And there's certain optional tiles that if you pass your path through these optional tiles, you get damage boosts.
Oh, cool.
Or like later you can pick up other items that'll show up on that puzzle solving grid that do different things. I forget what the other one did that I found. Like it might slow the robots down if you activate those.
How's that
it's
feel?
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it. I wonder if it's going to get tedious later after you've done it for 8 hours or whatever. But I actually thought it was like, I mean, third person shooting is kind of like a bit rote these days, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like yet another third-person shooter shooting robots in the head is like fine, but it was kind of nice to have something else to do besides just shooting more enemies from an over-the-shoulder perspective. Like it was kind of fun to do a little puzzle thing every time I had to kill an enemy.
I'm looking through the trailer. I'm trying to find if there's any shots of that mechanic happening. Is it hard to keep locked on to the target while you're doing
really
that?
Every enemy I fought, I would say it was like even the basic kind of bipedal robots that you start off fighting are like slow enough when they're coming at you that it seems like the speed they approach you is probably tuned to give you a little bit of time to do some puzzle solving, although I would assume later on it gets harder once you've got your feet wet.
Right.
But you're also finding and you're also finding like weapons and abilities that help with that too. Like I found a gun that could shoot the floor and like kind of do an AoE slow to slow the enemies further that were coming at you to give you more time to maneuver and stuff.
It's it's a weird question, but like, is a little girl annoying?
I mean, she definitely, that's part of why I thought it was funny, is that I could see some people probably finding her very annoying. I thought it was very funny to hear this computer gibberish coming out of this small child.
Yeah, I think that's kind of great, actually.
I found it to be pretty charming.
Is she chatty the entire time?
Not super chatty.
Okay. That's cool. That went from not being interested to being way more interested.
It's neat. It's got a clever hook that I have not seen before, but it also like is less. This was brought way down to earth when I played it, you know? Like it was like, oh, this thing has achieved this mythical status of like, oh man, they're never going to ship this game. Is this even actually a real thing? Why did they even announce that? To like, oh, okay.
This is a video game.
It is a cyber third-person shooter with like one unique mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did some environmental stuff. You had to also solve some hacking puzzles scattered around just to unlock a door to move on. So
I did see that in the trailer. Okay.
Yeah, there was a break from combat where because you've got to hover and you can kind of fly a little bit. So you're like going around this factory area looking for things to hack on the wall. And those are other types of mini games.
Okay.
Different from the pipe dreams.
And the mobility feels pretty good.
Yeah, it plays fine. The whole thing moves a little slowly. Like felt a little stiff, but I guess that kind of makes sense with the puzzle solving part.
And that's still a ways off, right? It's still just next year.
Yes, I believe that's right. But I thought it was kind of cool. Actually.
Pragmata.
Like a couple of people I ran into who had played it were like, yeah, you should maybe set your expectations. But there's something to it, I think.
Seems neat to me.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to jump into?
Onimusha Way of the Sword.
Sure. Okay. Tell me everything you know.
Was there, which like, boy, has Souls just become like almost the default template for third-person action games now, it feels like. Like this was by far not the only game I saw at Summer Game Fest that was like, man, everybody is just making a FromSoft style game if they're making a third-person hack and slash game now.
So that
like this had strong. It definitely's got some of its own stuff going on, but like it very much is like, you know, lock on to enemies and circle around them. I assume probably attacks are on the shoulder buttons, although I actually can't say for sure, but like it definitely has that vibe.
So that is okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. You know, I guess there's a difference between sometimes these things shown. You're like, is this a Souls-like or is this like a Devil May Cry? Like, is this just a straight action game?
Well, because that's the thing is that Onimusha was kind of moving into character action as it went along, right? Like original Onimusha was a lot more Resident Evil, and then it started getting more into character action stuff.
Like this is definitely not acrobatic or like, you know, you're not jumping around all over the place like you would in a character action game. It feels much more grounded and methodical in terms of the pace of combat. Like there's a lot of parrying and guarding and deflecting projectiles and circling around enemies and stuff like that.
Okay. Stamina meter?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually don't quote me on that. I didn't play this one. I didn't play this one. I just saw a demo played in front of us. Let me see. I'll just read from my notes here. Apparently, so you are Miyamoto Musashi, the kind of famous figure from Japanese history, played by Toshiro Mifune.
All right.
Like they've got his likeness, even though he's no longer with us, right?
Toshiro Mifune is no longer with us.
Right.
That is
like
100% correct.
Like for a while, right?
For a number of years, yes.
Yeah, but they are using his likeness for the protagonist in this.
That is really interesting. Yeah. I wonder if that is a common practice in Japanese stuff these days or not.
I don't know. But
yeah, he's been dead since 1997.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, I mean, like probably the most famous Japanese actor in history, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
and with good reason. Man's a hell of a performer.
I wrote down in my notes baller samurai shit.
Okay.
It feels like there are a bunch of moves in this that are just like cool to watch and probably cool to do as well when you're playing it. Like you can guard, you can block from any direction, which I don't know how this is going to work in practice. They didn't take questions. It almost sounds like this would make it easier, but like you can guard, you can block on an enemy who's attacking you from behind, for example, and like
without facing them.
Instead of holding the sword up in front of you to block, the character just sort of like holds the sword behind his head to block instead, which looks really cool. But I don't know if there's any trade-off there or if it just makes it easier that you can block hits from any direction. But like it's a neat idea at least.
Yeah. I mean that's a little like maybe in the same universe as like a Batman combat, right? Like
kind of, a little bit.
Not necessarily snapping to it, but you didn't have to face all the enemies to get your blocks and parries.
Right. And there may be some technique to doing that they didn't tell us about. Like they didn't go into detail about controls, but there might be some skill-based thing you have to do that, and they don't just make it automatic block from any direction. There were a lot of projectile enemies like bow and arrow and stuff like that. You can parry like an arrow back at somebody and kill them with it.
Of course.
You can also parry that arrow at a third enemy and kill them instead.
Okay.
That's where the baller stuff comes in. Like it looks really cool to parry an arrow coming at you into the guy coming at you from the side.
Yeah.
You can use environmental stuff like fire. You can like knock a guy into like a torch and he'll get caught on fire. So like you can use the environment to do stuff as well. There are souls. There are like quite literal souls that come out of enemies, but it's not just experience. It's also for like health and skill meter and stuff.
Okay.
And there's some kind of slow-mo mode, especially when you're fighting like bosses or heavier enemies. I'm not quite sure how you trigger this, but you go into this sort of slow-mo mode where you can choose where on the enemy to hit them. And different parts on the enemy have different like orbs, different souls attached to them. So it's like, I'm gonna stick this guy in the breastplate, and that's gonna give me health back.
It's a little Doom-ish.
A little bit. Or I'm gonna take out his weapon arm instead, and that's gonna get me more skill meter back or something like that.
How do I get the chainsaw ammo?
Right.
Or the fuel?
Yeah, and I don't know if that disables. I don't know if that actually like disables attacks. Like if you choose to hit them in the leg, does that make them slower? I don't know.
Right. Again, you were seeing a demo, not playing.
Yeah, this was just watching somebody play it, but like that seems like a relatively interesting thing.
That's cool.
Also, I think you see this guy in I didn't see the full Summer Game Fest trailer, but the kind of Nemesis character.
Is it a gigantic lumbering beast that charges at you?
No, this guy is like this like fairly like svelte swordsman kind of guy with a big hat, I want to say, and long hair.
Yes.
He's got a really kind of flamboyant manner to him, like really taunting. He's like very
something weird on his arm.
Yes. Both characters have got these gauntlets that give them like special demon powers or something.
Okay.
But he's like jumping up and down on banisters while he's taunting you and leering at you, like he's got a really over the top manner about him that it seemed like he would be a fun foil from the little bit I saw. So like that seems okay. Like I don't know. I'm curious to see more of it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have very little familiarity with this franchise, so
I don't
the other ones.
Same. I don't remember playing an Onimusha, which cue somebody saying, "Hey, you reviewed the third one or whatever." But
yeah,
right. You loved it.
Look, this is how it goes. Sometimes we don't remember everything.
Yeah, but this seems like again like pretty strongly Souls influenced sort of direction they're going with this one.
Again, that's just 2026. Yeah,
I believe that's right. And then they ended everything with Resident Evil Requiem.
Of course they did.
Which was not played live. It was a recorded gameplay demo that actually like cut from sequence to sequence, so it wasn't even one contiguous demo.
Interesting. Do you know if that's out there?
No, this was definitely not.
Closed door?
Unless, so the embargo for this just lifted this morning at the time of this recording, maybe it's possible they'll put out video of this at some point.
So this, if you didn't know, this ended the Summer Game Fest show.
Yeah.
This was the one more thing.
I caught part of the Summer Game Fest stream, but unfortunately not this part, although I saw the stuff about like earlier in the show where they teased like, it'll be ready soon.
Right. Yes.
How did that go over?
I think when we were watching it, we did not expect this to be Resident Evil as we were watching. I think my words were, man, this looks real Capcom-esque.
You're talking about the ending trailer?
Yeah, the ending trailer. No, the mid thing I just took out as face value because there was also a Silk Song joke in there too.
Oh, I see.
I just took out face value of like, it's not going to be ready. We'll talk about it soon. Like, okay, we'll get Resident Evil at some other point.
Alex, any reactions to the Resident Evil stuff?
I mean, my reaction was I thought the gag was good. What they actually showed in that trailer and sort of like the, kind of teasing it out until they show you like the ruined Raccoon City thing. Like, it was just like, okay, yes, they're doing more Resident Evil. I can't say it registered a whole lot with me.
There's zero gameplay in what we saw.
Yeah.
Okay, so the demo I saw took some tidbits from that trailer you saw, which were she's like strapped. This was Grace Ashcroft, who is a new character, an FBI agent, which I'm not even going to get into the weirdness of what the FBI is at the moment, but
yes.
New character.
Patel has some thoughts on the bioweapons.
Yes.
Apparently,
very strong anti-BOW platform over there, I'm sure.
Apparently, people were saying, I don't know if you know this, Brad, but Ashcroft is related to some other character from the universe. Interesting. Okay, so I love Resident Evil, but I don't go very deep on like deep lore in there, so I'm not sure what that's about. That's interesting to hear. When you saw her strapped upside down to that gurney in that trailer, that's how this demo starts. That's kind of how ours ends.
Okay, and there's also like you saw a couple glimpses of this giant monster that was sort of stalking you down the hallway in that trailer. It's very quick cuts. Like I wouldn't expect you to actually remember it. I only know because this is the demo we saw.
Mm-hmm.
She was on that gurney and she frees herself, and then you're basically just in first person wandering around this like very enclosed, like extremely small, like kind of old mental hospital, sort of old medical facility kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like old, like from the 40s or something. Like it, Resident Evil, a lot of like environmental designs kind of reach back.
House on a Haunted Hill to like flashback footage type shit.
Sort of.
Okay.
It was a pretty basic demo, honestly. Like it almost felt more like a tone piece than them saying, hey, here's like the big hook in the new Resident Evil game, because it was a lot of slowly creeping down these poorly lit hallways. At one point, finding like an electronic gate you needed to open, but not having like the fuse being burned out.
Of course.
Like you full on get the like try to use fuse box and it pops up inventory screen, except you don't have the item you need to use yet. And then going and finding a fuse elsewhere and bringing it back. And then at some point that monster pops out and starts stalking you around like it's Nemesis or whatever, except that thing's like 12 feet tall. Like that thing is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this, it's kind of like an old crone, like old sort of witch looking human character, except it's like 12 feet tall.
Interesting.
So it's almost like this, maybe it's like this Frankenstein's monster sort of cobbled together version of an old woman.
Did they not in the demo or the setup for the thing you saw? Did they not give you a setup for when and where this?
Not really. No.
Like where this takes place.
They gave the spiel of you're Grace Ashcroft. You're an FBI agent.
But like this isn't like, hey, this is 5 years after Raccoon City.
No, definitely not. Definitely not a lot of context to what's going on here, and also again, like not a ton of gameplay in this demo. There was no combat, like at all, no weapons.
It's wild
of any kind. No other enemies, no zombies or anything. Just that one very large creature that was chasing you around from time to time. Like it was, again, it almost felt more like a tech showcase, like sort of tone piece. Like here's what our game looks like and is going to feel like, but did not get into much gameplay at all. The one thing I will say is that it gets really dark. Like there were spots, and I don't know if they're like using ray tracing or what here, but they really seemed like they want to show off their lighting model here. And I'm guessing it seems like lighting might actually be a big deal in this game, because like practically every room it felt like that they went into in this demo, there were operable light switches on the wall and like lamps you could turn on and off. And at one point late in the demo, like the power got cut, so all the lights went out. And like when it's dark in this game, it is dark. Like you can't see shit. Like it is like in that last enclosed room with no windows, when the power gets cut while you're being stalked, you can see basically nothing. And so it really makes me wonder, because you can operate all those light sources and they kind of went out of their way at the end to show it becoming almost pitch black. It makes me wonder if manipulating light and being able to see or not being able to see are going to be like big mechanics in this.
But not in like the, this thing, so I'm just going to turn the brightness up kind of way.
No. It didn't seem like that would help.
Design intention.
Like it in that one instance, it didn't seem like that would help. Like I actually like appreciate that, because it's scary, you know, like it's not being able to see what's coming at you is about the most effective device in horror I can think of, right? It looks really good. Like the tech looks great. Like the lighting all looked fantastic. But again, like kind of weirdly light on gameplay.
It might just not be all the way there yet for them to show.
Well, it's coming out in February though, and Keeley said it's going to be playable at Gamescom in like 2 months, 3 months.
Maybe they're just not. Yeah, maybe they're just not showing it yet.
Yeah, or it's just not ready. Like they haven't polished their vertical slice enough yet, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear that all the time. Like every third time I talk to a developer about making a game, they're like, yeah, it really came together at the very end. Like,
Sure.
That's just kind of how games work.
It's a tale as old as time.
Yes.
I did look up the Ashcroft family here, and it seems like Alyssa Ashcroft was a Resident Evil Outbreak character.
Oh, great.
Everyone's favorite Resident Evil.
Of course.
Tying it all together, except for 5.
Folks
Hang
might
on.
know more than that. I don't know Outbreak at all. So
I definitely know Outbreak. I did review Resident Evil Outbreak, actually.
Great. Do you remember Alyssa Ashcroft?
Is she the Nicole Kidman?
She does. She looks like it in the picture I found.
Outbreak is the one that is extremely, extremely shameless. If you look at the lineup of here's our Tom Cruise, here's our Brad Pitt.
Yep. 100% shame free.
Here's our Nicole Kidman, here's our Ving Rhames.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, sure. That seems cool, but again, like just not a lot to hang your hat on gameplay wise there. So I want to know more about what that game actually is. Like there were all those rumors over the last few months that it's going to be an open world game. And then you saw in the trailer, like that shot, that overhead shot, like aerial shot of the city.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that like kind of made me think like maybe there is an outdoor open worldy component to this, but this was a tiny demo in like basically a few hallways and rooms. So I really don't know what to make of it.
What, like, I guess when you say an open world Resident Evil, you mean like you are not only is there a map with subsections of the map, you mean like you could do things out of order, right? That would be the open world nature that you'd expect from that.
This was entirely out of leaks, so those could be.
Yeah, no, I just mean like expectation.
Yeah. Oh, like what you would want out of that? I don't know. I really don't know.
Because there definitely have been like maybe more Silent Hill, but like Resident Evil style things where you can choose where to go.
Yeah,
right?
Like they were starting to toy with that idea in Village. Like Village is not open world as such, but it's more open than it's ever been, probably, like it was more of this like interconnected kind of world.
Right, but generally you had to do a thing before A before B and B before C.
Village is definitely more of this like hub and spoke kind of design of like the main castle area kind of has offshoots into the different zones or whatever. I don't know, like those leaks could be nonsense. Like this could just be a traditional like indoor sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe they're saving the gameplay reveal because something wild happens.
It very much feels like there has got to be more to this game than what they showed because again, it looked really nice and was creepy, but just not a lot of gameplay.
All right, that's the Capcom stuff.
Yes, that was everything Capcom had.
Anything else you want to talk about hands-on wise?
I've got a bunch more, but we've also got streams to talk about. Let me talk about Shinobi Art of Vengeance.
Tell me about Shinobi Art of Vengeance.
I wish I could remember this better. This was the last appointment of one of the days and I was kind of out of it, but like I think somebody there from Sega mentioned that you had brought up Shinobi on a podcast recently.
I did?
As if to say you were looking forward to this game.
I probably did. I am looking forward to Shinobi.
I might have been mistaken, but it felt like somebody who listened to the podcast or watched the stream and said that you had mentioned this game as something you were looking forward to.
Yeah, look, I've been looking forward to any of those new Sega like revisit our classic franchises.
So yeah, actually, I forgot about that. It's been so long now that I forgot this is the first one of those when they announced at Game Awards 2 years ago, like, hey, we're making new versions of like all of our shit. This is Lizard Cube, who has done some other 2D action games we've talked about before. Let me just make sure. Yes, they did Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap. If you played that had some really excellent 2D art in it. This is not a Metroidvania.
Okay.
Like, this is a level-based 2D side-scrolling action game.
Okay.
The reason I make that distinction is because I'm the type of person that is a little disappointed when something is not a Metroidvania, just because I like having an exploration aspect. Like, I don't know, man. You tell me. Like, kind of just very traditional stage-based side-scrollers feel maybe a little played to me these days.
Disagree, but that's my personal opinion.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fair.
Depends what it is. Like,
also,
yeah, like there's that Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Right,
Is that what it is?
which I believe is the same deal.
Yeah,
they're
and
both
so
like
if the
level-based.
action's good and fun,
so that's exactly where I landed playing this thing. Is that the action seems so good in this that like I might not actually care that there's not really a strong exploration component, although there are secrets to find in these levels, and there will be some ability unlocks that'll be worth going back to previous levels to get stuff you couldn't get before. So there is a little bit of that.
Okay,
but it is still level to level in this, and not like one big world. But it's the art is excellent, like the sprite work on the enemies, and your character is incredibly fluid, just like really nice high res hand animated stuff. And the combat is like tight as hell and feels really good to move around the space with. So
and are you just like bouncing off walls and
it's not so much in the combat. It's like it's a lot more dodge based, like dodge parry type stuff. Like you start building a lot of moves into like the dodge can be chained into like a knee, like you can like literally roll into kneeing them, which apparently the knee is good against armored enemies. Or you can you can get a move that after you land a hit you can do a dodge, like it does an automatic dodge off of a hit.
Okay. Are some of these upgrades or
yes, they're all upgrades. Okay. You're getting like currency and buying moves and stuff.
Okay.
But because there's like you're not launching enemies exactly, but like some enemies do kind of go flying when you do like a 2 or 3 hit combo, right? But if you get that dodge chain move that I just mentioned, you can like knock them back and then immediately follow them through the air to keep hitting them, if that makes sense. If you like time your dodge off the last hit of a combo, you can then follow them as they fly through the air to keep hitting them, and then like turn that into a spinning move that'll hit other enemies as you come down. Like it feels really nimble and really tight in a way that's super satisfying.
I mean, the animation, like you said, looks awesome. The art style is this like hand-drawn, it's got this like hand-drawn vibe to it versus I'm just going to keep comparing them because they are of a similar kind. The Ninja Gaiden stuff, which is a little more pixely. This is not that.
Yes. Ninja Gaiden. I saw Ninja Gaiden being played there. I didn't manage to get on it, although it's on Nextfest right now, actually.
Yeah, the demo's out there.
So Ragebound is very much like a pixel art style game, and this is very much like high res.
Yeah. Look, does it make
and fluid?
Do I get to play a Storm Shadow? That's what I
kinda.
Want.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great.
That's basically what you're looking at here. I mean, there's all kinds of like charge up ninja arts, like different like elemental attacks you can do. Oh, and the execution move is the other one actually. So like enemies have a secondary bar under their health that if you get that bar all the way up, they become execution eligible. And the cool thing is that if you don't kill them right away, when you pop your execution move, you will execute everybody on the screen who is eligible to be executed.
Oh, even if the boss doesn't, it's like a clean a screen clearer.
Yeah, so you're just like zipping around in a straight line from enemy to enemy that is able to be killed and just killing them all very quickly. And you get like kunai and health back for doing that and money. So like the more executions you chain together at once, the more resources you get back. Like it feels really good.
So that was actually going to be one of my questions. Do you not unlimited kunai, not unlimited throwing stars?
No, definitely not. You get like 5. When I played, it was, I think they jumped me to a later save where you had 10 max, but it's very much more like you need to be doing the right moves to be getting some knives back.
Okay, all right.
It plays very well. I'm pretty stoked about this game.
Did you get a chance to see if they let you at will swap between weapons, between sword or the I don't know what the like Wolverine style claw things?
Is that in footage?
It's in the trailer. I don't know if they're special weapons. Well, they could just be things that are used for traversal. I'm not sure. They show them in the trailer. Later save they jumped me to. You had claws for climbing like walls and ceilings. Okay, but not for fighting.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you can use those in combat. Okay. I think at least what I saw, it's just the basic sword is the core of the combat. Okay, because there was like a grappling hook or spear like chain thing too. It's a lot more like the ninja arts and the executions and the special acrobatic moves and stuff that build out the combat.
I want to feel sick as hell, like you said before with Onimusha. I want to do sick ninja shit.
This feels like baller ninja shit when you're doing all this stuff. Like it plays really well.
Cool. That's soon. That's August.
Yes. It's it's ninja summer around here because Ninja Gaiden. Yes. I think Ninja Gaiden is out in July, and then this in August.
Maybe we should do some good ninja movies when we get to the fall.
Oh, best part of this fucking game is the title screen, which has like a dude, a ninja in close up. It's Joe Hayabusa. It's like the guy in close up holding a sword. It is like straight off of the Revenge of Shinobi title screen.
Oh, cool.
Which
I don't shing.
I don't think everybody in the room necessarily picked up on that, which just makes me feel old at this point. But I was very excited to see that. No, they do not throw a throwing star from off screen for him to deflect off the sword. But
dang it.
See what? Okay, what are the chances in a more just world that we would get a Ninja Gaiden Shinobi crossover, like a Snake Eyes Storm Shadow crossover, like maybe a partner up kind of thing? Like,
I do feel like Ryu Hayabusa and Storm Shadow should know one another. They should there aren't that many ninjas left. Like those guys should at least be acquainted.
Yeah. Oh, like, look, you get me Storm Shadow. You get me what's the guy's name from Ninja Gaiden?
Ryu. Ryu Hayabusa.
So I actually need to correct myself here. I'm sorry, it was a long weekend. I just got back yesterday. I totally fucked it up. It's Joe Musashi is the Shinobi character.
Okay.
I called him
Ryu
Joe Hayabusa. It's Ryu Hayabusa is the...
Okay.
So yes, those two.
Get me a portal that opens, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Ryu, and I already forgot his name because I wasn't a big Shinobi Ninja.
Mm-hmm. Joe Musashi.
Joe Musashi, get in there. Is he supposed to be like is he like an American ninja?
I don't know if they ever got into that.
Okay.
I'm here I'm looking at shinobi.fandom.com right now.
Okay.
There's only one American ninja, and it's Michael Dudikoff.
He's a master of the art.
Orphaned at a young age. Joe was adopted by the chief of the Oboro clan, a superlative ninja clan that descended from the famed ninja of Iga. I don't know. Not quite sure.
It's just the Joe was throwing me off. That's it.
Yes.
Well, I should say it's the Joe and the 90s were throwing me off.
Yeah, so we're actually 80s because the first Shinobi arcade game is like 88, 87, 88, something like that. Like it very much is just like, I don't know how this name came about in the 80s, but they have now they've had to bend the fiction around whatever this throwaway name was that somebody came up with for an arcade game.
All right. So that's a Shinobi, and that's out at the end of August. Is that it for this week's Brad Block?
Yeah, I think we'll call it there. I've definitely got more to talk about, quite a few games, but we still got lots of streams to recap, so...
Yeah, and so some of the stuff, maybe as we go through it, you can be like, I'll have more to say about that as we pluck off a bit. But yes, we're going to go through some of the rest of Summer Game Fest, just our impressions from the trailer, and Brad might have further impressions from hands-on stuff, but we'll deeper dive into that next week. So we're going to get into that in just a moment. Stick around. And we are back. And Summer Game Fest continues. Now we're just going to go through some of the press conferences here. Obviously not all of the press conferences or all of the showcases or all of the gathering of game devs that have shown things in various forms or states or other, because there are a lot of things. We're going to kind of pick and choose our battles here and go for some of our favorites or our standouts from this year in some kind of order, and that order is probably going to be a little bit chronological here. So let's start with anything else from the Sony State of Play that was from June 4th that we want to pick out. Brad Shoemaker, anything else that, now again, we mentioned before, you might have stuff that's more hands-on that you'll talk about later, but anything you want to pop out here? Special recognition?
Yeah, Sony was not at Summer Game Fest. They're not on the Play Days campus this year. Yeah, I mean, this is the first podcast since this thing happened, which was like right after last week's podcast.
Yeah.
On which I sure did say, like, man, that's probably just going to be a pretty low-key, uneventful State of Play. For me, I mean, everybody's taste is different. This might be the best State of Play they've ever done.
Really?
Like, it was just thing after thing here that I was like, holy shit. I mean, they started with a new Lumines.
Yeah.
You would not be alone
from there.
You would not be alone in that sentiment. I've seen a lot of people really.
I think it was very good. I would not necessarily call it an all-timer, but I feel like they did not have a lot of misses in that group.
I can't think of one of those streams they've done. Again, this is not a PlayStation showcase. This is just a State of Play, which they've done a million of, that had this many things that really. I mean, it's a small handful of things that really got to me, but they went straight from a new Lumines to a new Suda 51 game, which. I don't have as strong feelings about that, but it's still cool for Suda to still be announcing a new game. Sorry.
Well, that's Romeo is dead. Romeo is a dead man.
Romeo is a dead man.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to be real. My only real response to that thing is, did that dude just recently watch Romeo Must Die and decide that he needed to do a thing?
Maybe.
Big Jet Li fan.
I think the intro setup for this was a lot of fun, and then the gameplay was a little more of oh, okay, yeah.
Well, he's making one of his games.
I was going to say, isn't that like a Suda? Isn't that just kind of Suda?
Might be, and we'll see how it winds up playing out for real. But it's wacky out there hijinks with undead robot man.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
And cool weapons.
It seems like he's making a game, so that's fine. I'm glad it does not appear to be some kind of free-to-play thing.
And they announced a new Bloody Stainia.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I never got around to the first Bloodstained, but people seem to really like that game, and this looks good.
I watched Vinny play all of it.
Yeah, this one didn't grab me right out of the gate here, but I will definitely check it out when it comes.
I know it's not the first by any stretch, but is this one of the more significant examples of a kickstarted game actually just getting a sequel outside of like the crowdfunding ecosystem?
Maybe.
Was Ukulele kickstarted?
Maybe.
Yes. Okay, because that got more lalies, right?
No, that did not get a sequel.
It did not.
The thing they're making now, Yuka Replayley, which I played at Summer Game Fest, is a remake of the first one.
Okay.
There was a spin-off. Sorry, there was a 2D spin-off of Ukulele.
Okay.
Which
I'm sure there's other stuff we don't know about or are not picking up on that are like in circles that we don't traverse in for games, or stuff that we don't even realize was kickstarted.
Right.
Sure. But I mean, yeah, it's like pretty notable that Bloodstained apparently did well enough to make another one.
Yeah, and that's cool.
That Final Fantasy Tactics remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, is a huge deal.
Yes.
I somehow actually did not play Final Fantasy Tactics when it came out. I actually have never played that game.
Neither have I.
It was interesting. So I was taught when I was doing the recap stream I did on Monday. I mentioned I couldn't remember the name of it. I was like, there was the other one I had more familiarity with. Ogre Battles. Ogre Battle.
Yeah, Ogre Battle. Tactics Ogre was the kind of later entry in the Ogre Battle franchise, I think.
That one, I when I was in college, that must have been late 90s then, right? Because I feel like
that sounds about right.
That's the one I felt like
those are like Super Famicom era.
Okay.
To the PlayStation Final Fantasy Tactics. Like Tactics was a little later, is what I mean.
Okay.
Like
I feel like I was a little more familiar with those.
Right.
But yeah, people got real excited for that, and I understand.
Yeah, I want to play that. I've told myself for fucking 25 years I should have played that game and have never gotten around to it, and this seems like the time.
We'll get to the closer of this press conference in a separate game, but I did posit this out there, and it came up during the show. I think somebody else might have said it. If this were a full-on remake or a Final Fantasy Tactics re-envisioning, probably could have closed the stream, right?
Probably, yeah.
I would think so.
That could be your closer. Brett,
this definitely feels more like a remaster.
Yeah.
Like they're redoing the art, but you can still play the old art. Like it very much feels like a modernized version of the game and not a full remake.
Want to keep going on? Again, this is not everything. These are just kind of selects here.
Stuff that, I mean, for me, the two things that really like just blew my hair back at this thing were Lumines and Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection.
Yeah.
Which, like, fuck, man.
That Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection was definitely the one that made me be like, oh yeah, no, Brad is.
I immediately like tweeted at Mike Micah after they announced this, and I was just like, okay, it was like this or Doom and Quake era id Software are like the two things that I could have, like, if you had given me a wish, if a genie had come and said, hey, Digital Eclipse can make one of their interactive documentaries about one developer, it would have been like one of those two.
I think you might have said that previously during one of the games. Was it Games with Gold or was it
Gold Master is Gold so Master. This is not a Gold Master game.
Yeah,
I thought it was until I looked at it closer, but Atari 50 wasn't either, you know.
Yeah.
And I want to say, did they do one other one that was not Gold Master branded?
Jeff
I can't
Minter?
remember. I think that one was. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the Jordan Mechner and I don't
maybe
remember.
Karateka wasn't.
I can't remember. It is weird what gets the official.
Yeah, I don't really feel like I understand the distinction anymore.
I'm guessing it's a stature thing. It's like, is this a big enough franchise to stand on its own without needing to? And in fact, would the license holder prefer that it not be subsumed into this existing franchise?
Sure. Okay.
Like Atari, let's say Atari and also Warner Brothers / Mortal Kombat. Those are like both things that are big enough to be their own product and not just like installment number 5 in the Gold Master series, you know?
Well, the thing that's interesting about it, though, I feel like, is that they've done these kinds of Mortal Kombat collections before, not with this level of like documentary approach that Digital Eclipse is doing now, but like they have famously put together some collections of old Mortal Kombat games that have run like shit, if I recall correctly. And I wonder if this is them wanting to take some ownership of it because they want to say, hey, check it out. Here's our Mortal Kombat collection we're putting out.
Well, I mean, there's multiple things here. Like the collection part of this is exciting because they're putting modern like rollback netcode in this.
Yes.
And so like a proper online modern playable version of Mortal Kombat 2 like might make this my actual game of the year. Sight unseen.
if it's good, that is a big thing.
Just being able to go play good netcode MK2 online against people, might be
until you
enough
actually
for
have
me.
to play against people. Yes,
and they're also putting a bunch of weird ass, they're putting Game Boy ports and stuff in here. They're going pretty broad with the number of MK games that are going to be playable in this.
Mm-hmm. So it's everything within the framework of 1 through 4, right?
I don't have the list in front of me.
I don't think
right
MK
now.
Trilogy is in there, but I feel like all the main things they put out.
But they are getting up into at least the PlayStation, the 3D era.
Right.
I want to say 5. I want to say Deadly Alliance is in there in some capacity. Give me just a second.
You know what? They should put Trilogy in there. They should.
Currently announced games. Let's see. Dude, this is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
MK on, Mortal Kombat 1, arcade, SNES, Genesis, Game Boy, Game Gear. Mortal Kombat 2, arcade, SNES, Genesis, Game Boy, 32X.
Mm-hmm.
Mortal Kombat 3, arcade, SNES, and Genesis. 4, they've got the UMK3 on arcade and SNES. 4 is just the arcade version.
Right.
Mortal Kombat Advance on the GBA, which I'm not even sure what that is exactly. I'm sorry, it's only the Game Boy Advance version of Deadly Alliance, which is 5. So no, they are not getting into the 3D era yet, according to this.
Okay. 4 is 3D though.
Sorry, yes. What
you mean the PS2 distinction line?
What I should really say is the Weapon Fighter era of MK, the PS2 trilogy,
the ones they tried to mine some nostalgia for in Mortal Kombat 1.
Right, Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon is kind of, which I didn't play those games at all. They totally lost me at that point.
Yeah.
But those were kind of when it became more of a 3D sidestep weapon fighter kind of thing.
Sidestep weapon fighter.
That brings me to the other thing that is cool about this thing, though, is Sid Schumann was right on this stream when he said nothing can prepare you for the next game. Because he was fucking right. As soon as he said that, I was like, okay, this is MK related. What the fuck is this? But they got John Tobias back to talk about this along with Ed Boon.
In a room.
They ended that stream, or rather, they ended that trailer with fucking Boon and Tobias at an MK machine playing together, and that was the most knowing trailer ending shot I have ever seen for real MK heads. Because talking about those weapon fighters, the PS2 era games, is after Tobias got out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I forget exactly how long he was there, but those two guys, obviously there were other guys at Midway that worked on those early games, but those two guys were always kind of held up as the two core creators of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, they were the creative leads.
Right. And then there was, and you go back and look at that footage of them in the studio shooting the actors for the first game, and it's those two guys everywhere. And I don't know when they stopped working together, but it's been a very long time.
Yeah, because he founded, Tobias went and started Studio Gigante.
Right.
They made Tao Feng in that one very bad WWF game, and then that did not go well for them.
Right. Yeah,
and he's gone on to do other things, but has never really reunited with NetherRealm in any major way. Though I think at some point, I want to say Ed Boon said him and Tobias were cool again. A while ago.
I don't want to assume anything about personal relations between them, but it's just that they were both at the core of the MKs that I really care about. The first 3.
Right. You want to hear them together talking about
it.
Totally.
You really
shooting the shit about it.
You really want to hear them telling stories, and if all the other stuff in this trailer, there's they've got freaking Carrie Hoskins, Sonya from MK3. Sitting down for an interview. There's photos in here in this list of screenshots of the kind of claymation models of Shiva and Goro and Kentaro. You see some nice high res footage of them in the studio on the blue screen shooting the actors.
That's the stuff I want to see.
Yes, 100%. There is so much supplementary material around the creation of those early MK games that they could and should and seem to have gotten for this.
And they even, for an MK dummy like me, are promoting, or at least the bullet point on the Steam page says, the full story, a detailed character history and timeline that traces the epic narrative of Earthrealm, Outworld, and Edenia through the arcade era.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the full story of the behind the scenes.
Nope.
Everything. Okay.
No, I know that's for
Just
you guys.
Fit to print.
You want to know about all that stuff with Tobias, Vogel, Forden, and all that stuff. I want to know what happened. How did Katana become Katana? Who's the princess and who's the twin? Who's supposed to take the throne?
Yes.
I'll say it again though.
It's Katana.
you should put Mortal Kombat Trilogy in that collection if you're really going to do it, because that thing is so weird.
Here is my question. I saw Chris Kohler at a barbecue like a week before this got announced, and he didn't say a word, and so props to him for keeping this quiet. If Kohler or Mike Micah or somebody is listening, my real question is, are you going to put all the different arcade revisions of MK2 in this thing?
Oh my God.
I bet not. But also I bet those have probably all been dumped somewhere online, so it's not actually a huge deal. But like, and please don't just let me talk about MK for the rest of this podcast, but
too late.
You have to understand the way that MK2 came out in the arcade was that it was like basically incomplete when they launched it. Like there were like entire like finishing moves and special moves and stuff that were just not in there yet. Like every single time you went to the arcade for like the months, it's 8 months after MK2 came out, your operator had probably put a new board revision in that added a bunch of new shit. So it was like, you know, friendships and babalities were not in there at the beginning. Like pit fatalities were not in there. So like, I think it was just because they weren't ready and Midway probably just made them ship before they had all that stuff in. But it created this insane mystique around that game of like, I swear, like every month that I go
like
play this game.
doesn't have this, yours
yes. It's like, oh shit, the arcade in Asheville, I heard that they're turning people into babies up there. What the fuck? Like, or just
stop. You'll get the FBI and catch
they're turning characters into babies, Coop. Animalities.
Like, and you know, they started playing into that with like, they added the Kentaro, like there were all those rumors, you know, about like, oh, Kano's in the background of that stage. You can play as him. You can totally morph into Kano. So like they added the Kentaro morph fatality like super late in development. It was like the last update or whatever. But like it was some of the most excited I've ever been about a video game. Was like literally every time you went to the arcade to play this game, you had no idea what was going to be in there that hadn't been in there the week before.
Well, you reminding me of this reminded me just the sense memory of me looking in magazines and reading about like, hey, there's a new MK version out, does this shit, you should check this out. Like just fucking waiting with bated breath.
So like MK3 was the first game that I had like AOL access for. Like right when MK3 came out, like I had gotten not even on like a proper dial-up internet. It was just America Online, but it was enough to go get a FAQ and print it out and take it to the arcade. Like I distinctly remember the first time I ever did an animality was against like the big swaggering kid, king of the arcade guy. And like you had to go through the, you know, like what is it? You can only use kicks in the round you do an animality on or whatever it was. I forget. Yeah. Like I just remember his real stone-faced look on his face when I did the animality. He was just like stood there for a second. He was just like, how'd you do it? like he was pissed to be beaten, but he was also like, what the fuck is this? I need to know how this guy did this.
That's very funny.
Like
what a time.
Early MK scene in the arcade was an extremely good time. So like, yeah, like I am extremely excited about this thing.
I never saved anything for the fight back. That's how I did it.
That's right.
There is another bullet point here. A touch of a button, unlock all secret characters, change game settings, and access the buried developer menus to play the games your way. So maybe they'll have revisions in there.
All right. That would be super cool.
Sense. Yeah.
Although I guess to be fair, like the revisions were mostly just additive. It's not like they were changing things that were already there.
They weren't balance changes?
I think there probably were some balance changes.
I bet there probably were, but like the visible stuff was really just adding more finishers and stuff every time. So
I'm not joking. I really want the lore stuff, but I also want the behind the scenes footage. I want to see the puppets.
I want that dirt.
I want to see where the puppets are now. I want to see those rotting.
Let's get our Ninja Turtles suit footage of what do those things look like now.
Where is rotting Goro?
Yeah. This is great. This was definitely, if nothing else, this would have made a good state of play, I think.
Totally.
Just to see that. It's a cool get to for them. I mean, that thing's going to be on everything, so it's cool that they had it there. Apparently on the Switch 2 as well. It's got a release date, so the best version, who can say? Alex, anything that jump out to you? Well, before we're not done yet, but
I mean, just from the Sony thing, like I will say, the only one I would throw in there is just ArcSys Marvel fighting game.
Okay, the show closer.
Yeah.
Yes. Which
wild.
Yeah. Like that seems like it seems like a huge deal that somebody besides Capcom is making a Marvel fighter.
Yeah.
People I know who are like much more fighting game adjacent than me seem to confirm that. But like, hey, this is like kind of a coup.
But also pretty happy, right?
I mean, the power balance in the world of Marvel licensed games has been changed irrevocably. I don't know, man.
I was so confused when this came on. Again, I'm not a huge fighting game guy, and especially not a big Marvel guy. But like, when it became clear that this was a Marvel fighting game, I was like, didn't they just try to bring back Marvel vs. Capcom not that many years ago, and it did not go well? This seems like a lot of pomp for another attempt at that, because you just assumed that it's a Capcom game, because who else would be making a Marvel fighting game? But then it turned out to be Arc instead.
And I mean, look, man, Guilty Gear has been steadily just like never the most popular fighting game, but like constantly in competition. Like people are always playing those games. And I feel like they generally have a very good reputation. So I think people are just very excited at the idea of like seeing what a different interpretation of a Marvel fighting game, non-Capcom, looks like. And I think ArcSys is about as trustworthy a dev in that space as you could find that is not currently doing DC stuff.
Yeah, people like BlazBlue a lot too.
Grand Blue.
It just seems like they have gained a lot of respect in the fighting community.
So hopefully this is good, but I feel like they're starting from a position of actual strength where people are still interested in the idea of Marvel fighting games, even after that last one didn't hit.
And this is Marvel Tokon. Is that how you say it?
Tokon.
Tokon, Fighting Souls.
Yes.
Fighting Spirits, I thought.
I think it's
Souls.
I think it's Souls.
Okay,
Yeah,
I wrote down Spirits. That's my fault.
I thought it was also interesting,
Mm-hmm.
just in a sillier way. I mean, the not Capcom thing is the big thing, to see what the roster would be, right? See what Marvel's putting forward here, because in my mind, you don't debut a thing without having Wolverine out there in a yellow suit, claws all wiggly and waggly, right? There's no Wolverine in this. There's still plenty of time for more characters, but you have and I actually genuinely like the takes on these characters. They're re-envisioning, but you have Captain America. Is that Miss Marvel? Which
I think
Marvel?
so.
Okay. Who's the stretchy Marvel? Is that
which one? Well, there's Ms. Marvel, who's the stretchy one.
Okay, Ms. Marvel. Doom. What's the guy's name? Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, yes.
Iron Man, Ghost Rider,
Mm-hmm.
Storm, and Spidey-Man.
Yeah, I like their designs a lot, especially like Iron Man just looks like a fucking mech.
Oh, he's so cool looking. So cool. I think Storm and Spider-Man also look very good. Doom just kind of looks like Doom. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have like a lot of Doom love.
Is it Dr. Doom?
Dr. Doom.
Is that his name?
Yeah, he didn't
Alex?
look. He did not go to college to be called Doom. All right,
I
he did not
knew
get
him.
that fucking degree.
I knew you before you were a fucking Dr.
Yes.
Doom.
Victor Von Doom was in fact Dr. Doom.
He's in the new one coming up, the new movie coming up, right?
Yes, he's the Fantastic Four antagonist, though I believe also there is some Galactus stuff happening in that movie. And then there's Doom 2099, but that's a whole other thing.
So yeah, I think it's interesting their roster they have so far. I bet there'll be some other characters here and there. What is the date on this? Is this just a next year thing? Yeah. You think they do fighting characters at like a? You think ArcSys cares about revealing fighting characters at a Comic-Con or something?
Oh yeah,
Marvel.
I would think you would take advantage of that. Yeah.
Even if they don't, Marvel absolutely does.
Okay. I bet Deadpool makes it into this. Wolverine makes it into this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you don't put Wolverine in your Marvel fighting game, what are you even doing?
It seems so weird, right? But that's an us thing. I think they'll do it.
I think they'll do it.
I think they'll do it. Yes, that was a cool one. Look, I'll mention, because it probably needs to be mentioned somewhere. 007 First Light, IO's Bond game, was shown here with not a ton of gameplay, but it had a trailer.
It was a light showing.
It was a light showing. You got a vibe for what this Bond's going to look like, and I think some of the tone of this Bond, which is this is a young Bond.
Yeah, this is not at all what I guess when they had announced like First Light and Earn the Number and all that stuff, we had surmised that it was like a younger origin story kind of thing, but like this is like a child almost.
Definite origin story
Very
stuff
young.
here. Like, you trust this new kid style stuff. But
isn't the whole MI6 thing like they bring in orphans, like they train them from a young age? Like I thought that was the whole thing they were talking. Like, I remember there's the conversation between Bond and Alec in GoldenEye. It's the idea they were basically recruited because their parents were dead.
Oh, some of my Bond knowledge is very slippery at best.
Yeah, same. I just don't know Bond at all.
I think the 00 agents are basically supposed to have no family ties and things like that.
Can't be used against them.
Yeah.
Sometimes the gameplay they showed snippets of here, I was like, oh yeah, I see that Hitman pedigree. Oh, I could see
a little bit
in there, but they don't show long enough stretches. And then IO had its own event, but they didn't really show anything more about.
No,
Bond.
They didn't show Bond gameplay there either.
So
they're saying later this summer to show just straight up actual gameplay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Nothing looked bad. It just I'm not sure what to make of what they showed.
Yeah, I need to see more. Like between not like having an affinity for James Bond and like the footage they showed so far being kind of nondescript. Like I don't know what to think of this.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Also, with you in conjunction with the fact that they seem to be putting out some fires around the release of Mind's Eye right now. Like IO seems like they're maybe in a slightly weird place with some stuff, but
yeah, we should say. Mind's Eye just released, I think, at the time of this recording.
Yes, there is an EXE you can pay money for that definitely works the way it is intended.
Which, again, they actually kind of maybe hit more Hitman stuff, IO. Because
they had that big reveal of the
Mads.
the new elusive target, Mads.
Yeah, Mads. Get Mads. Anything else from Sony worth popping out here? I mean, there's a lot of other stuff, but some stuff we knew about already. Some stuff is actually coming out fairly soon. Oh, you know what? I was excited for the Thief VR thing. I think Thief and VR could be fun.
Yeah,
I certainly look better than Deadpool VR.
I heard good things about Deadpool VR around Summer Game Fest. They were letting people play it.
That's good because the showing they had was fucking terrible.
It's Neil Patrick Harris as the voice of Deadpool, which I thought was
not doing it for me.
Just a weird one. Doing a Ryan Reynolds.
It really does sound like him doing a Ryan Reynolds impersonation more than anything else.
But yeah, anything else you guys want to call out before we move forward?
I think that's it for like huge stuff at Sony.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff there that is interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's jump forward a little bit and chronologically. I
think Summer Game Fest was the next one. It was 2 days after that.
Summer Game Fest. Okay. Poof. A lot of games here. A lot of games.
Not a lot that really stood out to me, though, honestly. Like, there were a few things that I think made a distinct impression, but a lot of it was just not overly exciting to me.
Muppet boxing.
That's the one. That is the one.
Felt that boxing.
Like felt.
Like felt.
Yeah.
Or like that
Phoenix
kind of
down.
felt.
Like felt.
Right.
Yeah. So when my partner after the stream, she was like, okay, so what was shown there that I would be interested in? And I sat there staring at her for a solid 30 to 45 seconds in total silence, trying to think through everything. And the only thing I landed on was Felt That Boxing. I was like, you know what? You might actually appreciate this despite your disinterest in boxing. And I was right. She was super into it.
Yeah, so it's almost photorealistic in-engine puppets.
It looks
Muppets.
real good.
Okay. I think I made this comparison maybe on the stream. I feel like what they are doing is the same technique that was applied to Rockstar's table tennis. You are rendering a small environment and throwing all the horsepower into a couple of characters, and you are doing amazing things with it.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even in the boxing scenes, I don't think there's a crowd. So this has a real, like, punch-out look.
Yeah, it
very much so.
The main gameplay?
Extremely. Seems like it just plays like Punch-Out, which is fine with me, because I feel like there have not been enough Punch-Out clones.
Hell no.
And this one has got a hook.
And Nintendo's not going to make another one of those.
Are all these cutscenes? Are any of these cutscenes actual video?
They present it like it's not. I don't know definitively
like
one way or the other.
Some of these cutscenes, like the motion looks so believably like a real Muppet being puppeteered by a real hand that I was like, I actually genuinely can't tell if that's video game graphics or if they shot some of this on video.
The trailer, and take this for what you will, the trailer does have an in-engine game footage tag at the beginning of it. So,
all right.
I mean, you could put FMV in an in-engine, and still be legit. But like from what I could tell, and from what people were saying when I watched it again, they seem to think it is in-engine.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it on my laptop in the hotel room at a low quality because I couldn't get 1080p to work on the hotel internet. So maybe. That was glossing over it a little bit, but like it's more the motion. It's not the like fur shaders look good and have for a long time. It was more the animation of the characters looked so believable. Of course, you can motion capture that too, for that matter.
Looks great.
Yeah,
looks
those
fun,
look really nice,
and it also looks completely out of left field and very different. There were a lot of games here. A lot of them did seem to be character action, either just straight character action or Souls-likes, a handful. And I shouldn't say most.
Yeah, Code Vein 2 is another Souls-like from Namco here.
Yeah.
Which I might talk about next week. Onimusha, like you mentioned.
Wu-Tang.
Yes, I saw Wu-Tang also. I played that also. It's like I said, a lot of games are in the mold, being made in the mold of Souls these days.
Brad, I'll mention this because you weren't here, but there was a buzz, not a huge buzz, but there was a current happening where whispers of an Arc Raider shadow drop.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Oh, you were? Okay.
I caught part of this in the hotel room, and that was part of it. And boy,
did not.
What a way to throw cold water on that.
It's still a couple of months away, but
October 30th.
Yeah,
that's a
but
way.
It's still this year.
It is a way, or it is this year. Yes, it is this year's. But if it had been okay, it's not out today, but it's out in July.
Sure.
Yeah, that would have been people okay, I can wait another month, but it's almost the end of the year is kind of painful.
I thought it was going to be October 30th, and then I thought they were going to say with a alpha or beta opening up again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that beta was a real ass beta. That was not just a marketing beta. Hey, we're about to be out. Well, they actually still are working on it.
Okay, Brad. Anything else you want to pop out here?
Gosh, Alex, you got anything while I'm looking?
I don't think any of my other stuff came. Yeah, no. I guess it was Le Chiffre in Hitman. That was kind of the only other thing I called out.
Lego Voyagers looks really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same developer as Lego A Builder's Journey. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think of as the very extremely good looking ray traced Lego game. This looks like more of that, except kind of split fiction multi. In fact, didn't I see this is going to do a split fiction style, same co-op setup? You can share it with somebody to play it with you or something like that. I thought I saw that.
Oh, I don't know if I got that. I only saw the trailer.
I think I could have sworn I saw that in a press release that you'll be able to share it to play co-op with people or something. But it is a co-op focused experience that looks really nice.
Brad, you weren't here for that, or I didn't see your reaction, so I assume you saw it. Ill?
Yes, I did see that.
Oh my gosh.
That looked pretty gnarly.
That looks so gnarly.
It's so wet.
That was the really nasty first person monster stuff. Yes, that looked gross.
Man, that looked good.
Quite a few
from ooh.
That came up in multiple conversations when you run into people and just oh, what do you like at the show kind of stuff. That definitely numerous people mentioned Ill.
Made an impression.
As something that stuck out.
Alex,
Ill.
You forgot to mention one that I know you got a pop out of.
Ill.
Because some members have gone missing from the Wu-Tang Clan.
So that's interesting. Fun fact, a person I used to work with at Harmonix apparently is working on that game and messaged me after and was like, hey, my boss saw your reaction to that game. He's really excited. So it was just cool. Awesome.
That's funny.
So what is that?
It's a new game.
That. No, I know, but what is it?
I think it's a third-person action game.
Okay.
I don't know a whole lot about it at this point. I'm just glad to see that it is not a Shaolin-style remake. It is a new game.
It's an action RPG. Co-op action RPG is what they're billing it as.
Okay.
Are they in it?
I mean, the surviving ones, I think, are.
None of the screenshots I am seeing here have any members of the Wu-Tang Clan visibly in them.
Well, there's the stuff they showed in the beginning of the trailer, which was just their faces on a wanted or a missing poster or something, but it's cartoon versions of them, obviously. And it does say presented by Ghostface Killah, so I feel at least he's got to be in the voice booth, right?
All right.
I don't know who you get to do ODB, or if you just pull his fucking audio tracks from that Mariah Carey song or whatever, and he just goes, whoa, but you got to do something.
Ghostface Killah is calling on you to rescue his Wu brothers who aid you in your battle to save the dreams of the people.
Weird. How does something like this get,
one of them?
How does this get started? Who?
I don't know.
Who got this ball rolling? I want to know.
Ghostface.
Probably.
Dynamic gameplay
if his name
soundtrack.
is on the box.
including classic Wu-Tang songs, plus new material overseen by legendary producer Just Blaze.
This should be how they break that contract and just release that one album they sold to Martin Shkreli. Just throw it on the soundtrack as a total aside. Don't tell anyone you're doing it.
Let's see here.
Oh, here you go. Sorry. There's a little addendum here on the Steam page. Wu-Tang Rise of the Deceiver was initially conceived as a tie-in to Angel of Dust, an upcoming supernatural thriller produced by Ghostface Killah to be directed by the RZA under AOD Films.
Okay.
So, there you go. There's your
it
maybe
started
your
as a movie license thing and then kind of evolved.
Yeah. Sorry, Brad. What were you going to say?
There's a small number of other things to mention here, I think. End of Abyss, I thought looked pretty nice. It's they were showing it. I guess they were, I think, maybe letting people play it at play days, but I didn't manage to get to see it. It's like an overhead, almost tank controls looking, like old school Resident Evil style game, like really grim art style.
I was really into that one.
A lot of laser sights and stuff.
Yeah,
it's got like that old school kind of survival horror vibe to it, PlayStation era, that I thought looked cool.
Almost looks like she's like wearing a diving helmet.
Yes. Yeah, that looks neat. There were a couple other things. What were they? We'll talk about it next week. I saw Blighted, the new Drinkbox game.
That's cool.
The Guacamelee studio played that.
Brains.
Yes.
Dying Light. I think you mentioned you might talk about.
Yeah, I played that. We'll get into that next week.
Let's see.
Alex, I'm surprised you have not brought up Stranger Than Heaven here.
Which one was that?
That's the Ryu Gagotoku.
That's Project
game.
Century.
That's Project Century.
So here's that game was a little bit of a known quantity before because it was announced as Project Century.
No, I know, but the thing here though is that like at the Game Awards it was set in 1915
and they moved it.
And so did they move it, or does this game take place across multiple eras? Now, being called Project Century, does this game in fact actually span a century? Because I cannot believe they just like changed the setting and generated all new assets since December.
Yeah. So I guess that's why I didn't put it on here, was that like I felt like I didn't really learn much more about that thing from this showing versus like kind of what's, kind of other than the fact that they seem to have a different era in there. It's just, hey, they are doing an old crime noir thing in older Japan, which I am excited for. I just don't feel like that trailer did a lot for me.
Oh man, I thought that looked cool, and I have not really been into this. I mean, I don't dislike this studio, but this is the first thing I've seen from them in a while that really got me.
Well, I mean, it probably has some appeal just having a thing that you can plug into that has no ties, seemingly, to the various other franchise games they've made.
It was that thing at the end where there's a dude being like vaguely racist to the protagonist, and basically just being like, "What are you?" He's like asking, "Are you Japanese or whatever?" And he's like, and it's all in English. And then he's like, "Well, what are you then?" And then he pulls his glasses down, and in Japanese, he's like, "I've been asking myself the same question," and his eyes are like glowing blue.
Yeah.
So
you think he's some kind of time wizard?
And now looking at these thumbnails for these different trailers, including the old 1915 announcement trailer, I think this is like some immortal dude or something. Like,
yeah.
Like there's some era spanning aspect to this game. I'm becoming convinced.
Let me be clear. I am excited for anything that studio is going to be doing. I just kind of wanted a little bit more clarity from that showing, I think, because it felt like it was hey, remember us? Okay, bye. Like that was kind of what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks cool. Like these two eras are very distinct looking.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll do more. Like you said, like that was 1915 and 1943.
Oh my God.
Like, is there one in the 70s?
Dude, there is truly nothing I have wanted from them more than for them to just start doing some fucking 60s and 70s crime shit in Japan, because that is my favorite era of Japanese movies, and there's such fertile ground to be pulling from.
Like, it looks like you may get that here. I don't know.
Yeah. That's Stranger Than Heaven, previously Project Century. I
think that's everything I've got from the actual proper Summer Game Fest stream.
Yeah, there's Infinitesimals looked cool to me because it looked like,
you mean Infinitesimals?
Infinitesimals. It looked like a little like Mass Effect with bugs kind of thing.
Sure.
I don't know how that's gonna play. That could be very silly, but I like the designs in it. I don't know. The little space bugs seemed cool to me. That's also a 2026. A lot of 2026 stuff in here, but there were a lot of other smaller things too.
Yeah, like Mina the Howler. I guess there's a demo up for that now on Next Fest, but that's the new game from the Shovel Knight people.
Yep.
Yacht Club. That looks cool. Dying Light, like I said, I played that. I'll talk about that next week.
Yep.
Wildgate.
Well,
I could just sit here all day and talk about games that I will try at some point that were on that stream. But
Wildgate was the very space.
One person at Summer Game Fest described it to me as Sea of Thieves in space, which like I feel like a number of other games have also been circling around that concept, like Void Crew.
Sure.
And Jump Ship is up on Neckfest now. I have not tried that yet, but that's another like fly your own ship around in space and attack other ships thing.
This seemed goofier. It seemed a little more Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, for sure. I did catch some of that humor, which is not my favorite, but this is ex-Blizzard people, so it very much feels like it's in that Blizzard mold of colorful and humorous.
Yeah. Again, a bunch of other stuff there. Let's keep ticking along here. Next up, Microsoft's press conference on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or showcase, I guess.
Showcase on Sunday.
I feel like they don't deserve to call them press conferences anymore. Not enough business in there.
Not enough spreadsheets.
It's just trailers now.
Microsoft stuff. Let's see. Anything jump out at you guys?
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit. I mean, we should again note, Microsoft remains under the BDS boycott at this point. Made me a little less enthusiastic to check out their stuff, though I will say the fact that at least now we know there's a new Double Fine game coming did at least cross my radar.
Yes.
Like Keeper.
Keeper.
Like a new Double Fine game is the sense I get, not the new Double Fine game.
Yeah, I don't know how big in scope this thing is, but it is a new game from them.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool, I think. But the thing that stuck out to me is that Tim Schafer was on Twitter saying this is being directed by Lee Petty, who was one of the leaders of remember when the studio was putting out games like constantly about 10 years ago?
Like Headlander was one of his projects, right?
I think he was Headlander, yes. He definitely did stacking, which I love stacking. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah,
I was a big fan of stacking.
Stacking was that Russian nesting doll adventure game that they did. And I think he did Rad as well, that post-apocalyptic roguelike that I don't think many people played.
Oh, I did not try that one at all.
But like, point being, when they were, they were putting out Costume Quest and stacking and Massive Chalice or whatever, like
back during the Amnesia Fortnite.
Yeah,
days.
So like, it kind of, I wonder if maybe they're moving back in that direction again of like, because it's been a while, right?
Yes.
Like Psychonauts took a long time to come out, and then it's been a long time since Psychonauts. So it would be, I guess what I'm saying here is I'm hopeful they are doing this again, where they're splitting up into multiple teams, and we might get more Double Fine releases than once every 5 years now.
That would be nice.
Like maybe you got like a $20 or $30 game here and there.
Like maybe there's a Double Fine game every year or two again if they've got multiple teams going.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yes, that looks cool for sure.
It's fucking weird though. It's a living lighthouse with spider legs.
It has a little bit of a Howl's Moving Castle thing going on.
Sure. Yes.
With a gull that's its friend. I'm just not an Outer Worlds. It didn't click for me, Outer Worlds, as much. So they spent a lot of time kind of promoting Outer Worlds.
I'm hopeful for Outer Worlds too. Like, I think it could be good. Like
it was a very silly trailer.
First game had a lot of promise. Like I enjoyed what I played of it quite a bit, but it kind of ran out of steam on it.
Yeah.
So I hope the new one is more robust.
I would love to love Outer Worlds. It seems like it's got all the ingredients that I would like. I thought Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy kind of confused me because I'm just not sure where the Plague Tale stuff is at this point.
People on our Discord, people on our Discord pegged this as a new. What is the franchise called here? Is the franchise called A Plague Tale?
I
would say so. Yes.
I guess Plague Tale is what we're calling the franchise. Anyway, people on our Discord pegged this as a Plague Tale game like instantly as soon as the footage started.
That's
and
great.
I was like, how do you know that? There's no rats. Like, what?
It's a prequel. It takes place before Requiem. I don't know that much about it.
Yeah.
The one I want to get your guys' opinion on, maybe the most here. What do you guys think about 3D Super Meat Boy?
I missed that trailer. I actually have only like seen screenshots of that.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of that.
I know some people seem pretty hot on it. I was a little cooler on it because, man, I love Super Meat Boy. But I'm not sure I need it to be in 3D. So I think the burden of proof, I think, is on the game at this point.
Extremely. And like, not all the original developers are there. Like Ed McMillan is long gone from that, right? I think.
I believe
from Team Meat.
Yeah. Like he hasn't worked on a Meat Boy release in a while because they put out, what was the one they put out?
There was
Super
some
Meat Boy
kind.
Forever.
Yeah, I know what I remember what you're talking about.
Super Meat Boy Forever is the one that came out 3 years ago. I don't think he was involved in that. Not that he had to be, but like that one was just kind of okay, I thought. So, I know this could be cool, but yes, like you said, I think there probably is a lot to prove there.
Yeah, Super Meat Boy is an extremely tight, beloved game, and I love everything from the gameplay to the soundtrack. Right, so
here's a question I have though.
Yeah,
how much do people care about Super Meat Boy right now? Like, we like it.
Yeah.
It certainly came up in a time when, indie games were gaining much more purchase. We certainly have very fond memories or frustrating memories of playing it. But like, does it still have that cultural cachet? Are people like still excited en masse for Super Meat Boy? Or is it more of like a niche thing now?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Actually.
I also wonder if like maybe them doing this is them trying to see like, hey, can we maybe get this in front of some people that aren't just the people who buy any Super Meat Boy thing we put out?
I feel like this is too much work for that. Like, because otherwise you do just another small thing. I mean, this seems like a lot of work especially if you're going to try and nail the controls on this thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at the footage. This looks interesting. I should try this.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to try it. It's just, I don't know. Oh, my favorite thing of this show. Clockwork Revolution. What a weird long trailer.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah, that went.
I don't think this is not the first time this has been shown, but this might be the first time it has gone in such depth on this thing.
Yeah, I think it's the most like of the game they've shown. Like they announced this game 3 years ago or something, but I don't think they've shown much of the gameplay before now. It
looked fun. The world looks cool, and then there's about halfway or 3/4 through the trailer, they started doing time mechanic stuff.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh man, what is going on here? So
yeah. Definitely more of an action game than I would have expected because inXile is mostly like an RPG developer. Like I think like wasn't Wasteland 3 their last game before this, which is just a full on like straight up actual CRPG.
Yeah.
So I was not expecting. When they announced this a couple years ago, I assumed it would be more of an RPG than it seems like it's more actiony.
But yeah, actiony with that kind of Bioshock-ish,
Right.
Let's just say it. It looks like Bioshock Infinite.
Bioshock-ish. Yeah, it's a Bioshock-ish. Or Arcane. I thought this could have been an Arcane game before they...
The art style is a little too clean for Arcane, I feel like.
But yeah, that one was probably one of my favorite things that I didn't know about. Grounded 2, obviously, a thing that I'm very excited for. But I kind of suspected that was coming at some points.
Right.
Yeah, I think Grounded must have done extremely well.
I hope so. That game was a real joy. It's, now you can ride on buggies, as they say. Anything else to pull out? Oh, man. Some of the announcements were a lot of fun. Like that, there are no ghosts at the Grand.
I was going to mention that one as
cool.
well. That looks neat. I felt like it really just kind of like hit me over the head as I was watching this. Like the influence of Power Wash Simulator is much broader than people seem to think. This isn't exactly a AAA game, but it's definitely like higher fidelity, more production values than something like Power Wash Simulator. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like this is a bigger game than those types of games, but that style of like bringing order to disorder, like this ordering chaos kind of, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like just washing or sorting or organizing a thing, like that style of gameplay is probably going to start bleeding into bigger production games soon, and clearly it is here.
But then this thing takes like a weird dark turn,
right?
Like halfway through, where you're like uncovering the secrets of this weird town.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be part musical.
Huh. All right. Sure.
Which could be really interesting.
Yeah, I might give this a shot. This seems kind of neat.
For sure.
I'm not sure who made it. Like might be their first game.
Friday, Sunday, with Sunday being like the dessert treat.
Mm-hmm.
You got your Persona 4 revival. Charlie Tinoco running around for
wow,
like
I can't believe it's happening.
15
I'm so
surprised.
Yeah, that was such a weirdly short trailer.
Yeah.
Like it's barely a trailer. It's like barely on screen long enough to tell what it is.
Yeah.
It felt like.
It's more like it's just a reveal we're doing this. I mean, it looked okay.
Yeah,
maybe their hand got forced a little bit.
Is it? I mean, does it feel authentic to you from the 15 seconds you saw?
Yes.
I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to go back and look at the original one. I mean, this looks much better. Right.
Yeah.
So, like, side by side. At Fate's End is from the Spiritfarer folks. That looks like it could be cool.
Wait, is it really?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
I was trying to think of anything else here.
That's all I got.
Nobody's excited for High on Life 2.
So, super weird trailer. The guns didn't talk at all in the trailer.
Wait,
Weird.
did they not?
No.
Did they really not?
No.
Yeah.
Not one bit.
They've all got faces, though.
They've all got faces.
So I'm sure they will speak.
I wonder what they'll sound like.
Yeah.
I wonder who they'll sound like.
I guess I should not be surprised that High on Life did very well.
I mean, I didn't hate it, but
it's okay.
The whole thing with that game was the guns are talking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They wouldn't stop talking.
And they don't stop talking.
That's
right.
right.
So maybe that's why they decided this one just to show off the gameplay, but I don't know. It was weird choice.
Maybe they haven't quite nailed down the voice cast of that one yet.
Yeah, right. Like who's going to voice all the guns this time? Who can say?
I mean, they do have a couple of actors that do Rick and Morty now, so
that's right. Yes, that's right. They do. They already have replacements ready to go. Actually,
last time it was a varied voice cast, but it was definitely was it Roiland is the main
Justin
main
Roiland
voice?
was the primary guy who sounds like Rick and Morty.
Okay,
because he is or was.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird one. Unexpected, and
there's no right way to announce that game.
Yeah, maybe
it doesn't exist. Like you just kind of have to throw it out there and be like, "Look, guys, we're doing this. Okay, so we'll tell you more later."
My personal biggest disappointment of the show, going from watching it to being like, okay, what is this? Has to be the last thing they showed.
Dude, I was saving that for last because what the fuck? Like, I don't know what else.
Unless there's anything else we want to talk about here.
Not really. Like they put a lot of stock in Invincible Versus, this Invincible fighting game, but I've never seen Invincible or read it. But I gather it's actually like way bigger than I thought.
My understanding is the Amazon series is extremely popular.
Yeah, it must be because this was practically the last thing they announced, with a couple of like slightly bigger. Like the only things after this were Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 16 coming to Xbox.
Right.
And then Keeper, the Double Fine game, and then the closer we'll get to in a second. But like they put Invincible toward the end as if it was a big deal, but I just don't have any experience with it.
I think I watched a season and a half of it. I really liked it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's it's ultraviolet, The Boys style, superhero stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, once they said it was a fighting game, I think personally I was a little less interested in it.
How did they one more thing Call of Duty Black Ops 7?
How did they not only one more thing Call of Duty Black Ops, but also get me to sit and be like, okay, what is this like?
Yeah, totally, dude.
What is this future game?
I was on the Discord with people watching this when it happened, and like everybody was like, "This." A lot of people thought this was Peter Petrelli from Heroes.
Okay,
I don't know if anybody's confirmed that or not. Milo Ventimiglia is the actor. A lot of people seem to think this was him that they modeled this protagonist after. It does actually really look like him now that I look at him again.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, famous actor or not, this looked like it was building up to some big new reveal, and Phil Spencer had just been like, literally, hey, one more thing.
Yeah.
It is technically new.
And it's like a bunch of weird cyber stuff going on. I could, like, when that title card popped up, it was just like, what are we doing here? Like, it looks like
selling Call of Duty is what we're doing.
It looks more like Control or something for a lot of this trailer.
Yes, or even like that clean, like White Room Mass Effect style something. Like it's a very clean aesthetic. I have no finger on the pulse of of where Black Ops is. So
like it goes from all that imagery to like sudden cut to like, I don't know if this is Imagine Dragons or who this is, and like suddenly just shots of military dudes holding rifles, and now everything is like all orange and blue.
That's the Call of Duty, yeah.
And then here is your Call of Duty box art looking pose of guy with gun.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are we doing?
I mean, you paid a lot of money for this.
Well, yeah, I think the bigger thing to me, though, is like, of course you're going to make more Call of Duty. How is this your one more thing slot? You don't put a thing that you absolutely can set your watch by in the one more thing slot.
Yeah.
Look, they have not been selling Call of Duty a lot yet, Microsoft, okay? They are figuring this out. They don't know where to put it yet. They think they need people to buy this fucking thing, all right?
I guess. It's just like, again, you need something that's a surprise here. This is the furthest thing from surprising that they are going to make another Call of Duty or even to make another Black Ops game. Like, of course they're going to do that.
And I think, like, again, I'm out of the Call of Duty and the Black Ops loop on the mainline games here. So maybe it does pop for some folks. But, you know, if they showed a thing that was like, oh, man, they're reinventing Call of Duty or something.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
But there was nothing in there.
What's to reinvent? It's perfect.
The perfect game.
Mm-hmm. Again, so I got nothing against Call of Duty itself. This is more like critical from the standpoint of like their stagecraft here or whatever, you know, like kind of getting people hyped up and how you lay out a presentation. Like, just I just don't understand the decision to put this here.
I think you could have very easily. I know they want to push Outer Worlds too, but I think you could have opened with this. With the Call of Duty.
This exact same trailer at the very beginning of the show would have been perfectly fine.
And like close with, I don't know, Grounded 2, man, for me. Do it for me. Or close with Fishing for Fallout. I don't know.
Or like, where is State of Decay 3, man?
Or put State of Decay 3 in there.
Like that's the big one for me is like, when is that game ever coming out? I'm dying here.
Or new footage from Fable or new footage from the new Gears game.
Yeah, like Fable is not that far off. Like I was surprised there was no mention of Fable at all.
Yeah, or
it'll be the big thing next year, of course. But like,
or E-Day, you know, like
the new Gears prequel or like Proof of Life of Everwild.
No.
Once again, I would just like to remind you of the number of billions of dollars they paid for Activision.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, the games are hard to make. Like, those games might not be ready to show yet.
So that was the Microsoft press conference there. Actually, a number of things that are going to be on my radar moving forward.
Yeah.
Some fun stuff.
Yeah, there's like plenty of games out of this weekend of stuff that look cool.
Yeah.
And I think a decent number of them are coming out this year.
I think I'm just kind of surprised how few of them were on the main Summer Games Fest stream.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of games.
Yeah. And a lot of people were having various conferences this time around. So maybe, you know, people were holding some stuff back. It just kind of felt like a lot of what Keighley had was just not the stuff.
Yeah. Besides like Resident Evil, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, did you see that fucking scene that Kojima brought? Did you see that fucking
the Summer Game Fest?
2 minutes of random cutscene footage that had zero fucking context?
I very much went out of my way not to watch that because I want to play that game, and there's no reason to watch 2 more minutes of Death Stranding cutscenes when the game is out in 3 weeks.
That was absolutely a very weird thing to come out and then be like...
It wasn't even a whole scene. It was the beginning and end of a scene.
It's just like... It was like that dude and the woman just being hugging and crying, basically. Yeah.
Look at these actors.
Look at these scars. Look at the scars on her hand, and then. But then they had their Death Stranding. I didn't watch.
I know they had a bigger thing going on. It's just so weird they even brought him on stage at all. I know it's a tradition, but like, come on.
Some other stuff here that if you guys have any other stuff to pull out here, I want to give a quick shout out to Big Walk. Looks like it could be a lot of fun. We have played a lot of
Untitled Goose Game, folks.
Yeah, we have played a lot of proximity chat games.
Yeah, I thought that looked cool at the Game Awards. I have not seen this new trailer, but I feel like numerous people mentioned Big Walk to me when I was, when you were running into people and going like, "What do you like here?"
Big Walk,
big walk,
big walk. So it's a basically proximity chat game where you're solving puzzles and walking around.
Like we are in like the golden age of proximity chat now, which like apologies to your stream setup or the amount of labor involved in streaming.
Honestly,
games like that.
I feel like Vinny has it way more figured out than most.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think
we got. Some people just really don't like watching those.
That does. Yeah, I can kind of understand when the volume is not always equal across players and stuff. But like,
that said, we're absolutely not going to stop.
I mean, it's awesome. I think it's a fantastic feature now that people have found clever ways to actually use it in gameplay relevant ways.
I think the thing I have realized is we need to lower down the ambient gameplay on each of our streams so that I can put up the voice all the way, so I can put the gameplay volume up all the way so the voice is all the way. Please watch the artwork. Did you see any of this?
I saw people talking about it and saw like some screenshots of it or something.
It's like a spot the weird thing. Like what are those games?
The Exit 8?
Spot the difference. Well, no, this is more on like 2D artwork.
Yeah, but it is kind of an Exit 8-ish kind of vibe. Is what I got from the trailer at least.
But it's all like classic artwork, isn't it?
I mean, the stuff that they had in there definitely was. Like, I don't know if they are using using any new stuff as well, but it's like Nighthawks or whatever.
Yeah, they full on got Nighthawks in here. The very famous painting.
But like it's your surveillance, you're watching around from these paintings, and then weird stuff happens in the paintings.
Yeah, Day of the Devs as usual had a ton of interesting stuff, some of which I will talk about next week. Haven't played.
Yeah, those are some of the ones that jumped out at me from Day of the Devs. There's actually a decent amount in there, but big walk and please watch the artwork too that jumped out. I think some other trailers in there definitely worth watching if you missed that stuff.
Yes, for sure.
I love that we have managed to get through this entire segment without talking about that split gauge shit.
Well, we almost did.
No, there's not much else to say. I don't want to make like a big point of it. I was just saying.
Did you see the apology video?
He apologized. He apologized this morning. Oh, was it a video?
Yes.
Oh yeah, there's a full on like
mea culpa.
Oh man, I don't know. I can't be bothered with some of this drama, but I clicked through to the apology thing, and then of course it's just people on Twitter being like, "You don't have to apologize for anything."
We did get an email blast about that.
We got about the
from
apology.
The PR people that are doing split
that's how I saw it.
Yeah.
No, that's why I clicked through them. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, some crisis management got brought in. Clearly.
So then it clearly from the vibe I got was that nobody was happy, right? Like
no one.
We could be spending this time not talking about that bullshit, but instead be talking about No Goblin's new game, Snap and Grab.
Yes, that actually did look cool.
Which I played and we'll have plenty to talk about. I should talk about it this week, but we're long on time here. It's the only game at Summer Game Fest starring Eric Pope in a starring role.
Wait, what? Wait, where was Pope?
You didn't see any of this stuff?
Yeah, he's in the new No Goblin game.
I mean, okay. Do you want a teaser for next week? I really should have just talked about it.
I did not know he was in it.
Fully like a fifth of like one of the five major locations in this game is a giant mansion owned by Eric Pop, who is a dilettante, rich asshole type guy who looks an awful lot like Eric Pope and is voiced by Justin McElroy.
Oh my gosh.
It's very good.
That's very funny.
It's very good.
Getting Justin McElroy to voice Eric Pope is just a top shelf gag.
And it's like the best, shittiest French accent that you have heard.
Man.
Unbelievable.
That game seems really interesting. Their pitch for that, I saw a longtime good friend of the show, Dan Teasdale.
Mm-hmm.
He said their pitch for this game is Hitman meets Pokemon Snap.
Okay.
So there's a little teaser for you. We'll talk more about playing it next week.
Yeah, I only saw the trailer, which seemed like you're just taking pictures of things, and then other people are stealing the stuff for you. But
yes,
you were like to hear more about it.
You were there to set up a heist.
Okay,
and you're photographing like objects of interest to like make a flow chart of how the heist should go down.
Okay,
it seems very cool.
Do you see the other heist thing? I don't know if it was shown there, but Relooted. The one where you're going and you're reclaiming African artifacts from Western museums.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's like left to right. Running through stuff, laser grids and whatnot. Very techy.
Okay.
Looting games, and
Sure.
re-looting games.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, last one I'm going to mention here just before we wrap up. It was another Day of the Devs things, but Ratatan.
Oh yes,
that's in the Next Fest.
I played that there. Spoke to the developers very briefly, but there is also a demo for that on Next Fest, so you can, if you want to try that, trying to think what there was on Next Fest that I also played. If you guys want to check them out as well, it was Ratatan, Ninja Gaiden is on there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like one or two others of things. That if we
was it? I played this yesterday. The the Howler, Mia the Howler.
Mina the Hollower.
Hollower.
Oh, you did play it?
I played it yesterday.
I don't think that was at SGF, but that's on Steam Next Fest. People were raving about that though.
That was at.
Oh, sorry. When I mean like play days is the thing.
Sorry.
It wasn't. They weren't taking meetings for it. Is what I mean.
Got it. Baby Steps is on. There's a demo for that.
Yeah, I just meant like stuff that I played. If you also want to try it on Next Fest, so we can compare notes. It's like Ninja Gaiden.
Sure. Okay.
And Ratatan is on there. I played that down there, but you can try it on PC.
Did you play a game called Holston, or did you see it there?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna check that out. That game looks super freaking weird.
Okay. In what way?
In all the ways.
All right. Holston? It's HOLSTIN. It's a survival game.
There's a demo for that out. I might go check that out.
It's a psychological survival horror game set in a 90s Polish town.
Oh, I have seen developer footage of this like months ago.
Oh,
like
yeah?
The developer of this floated onto my feed posting footage of where it's like overhead, like sort of isometric,
yeah.
Resident Evil, but when you fight guys, the camera like swings down to first person, right?
Yes, or like behind the back. There's like behind the back shooting.
It's like overhead for exploration, and then it swings down to like very tight third person shooting when you're actually fighting. Yeah, like that. I remember seeing footage of that months ago. That looked really interesting and.
It wasn't there, or you didn't see it?
No. I didn't see anything about this there.
Yeah, put together a list. I'll check out some of the stuff you
it was just those two, Ninja Gaiden and Ratatan, for games that were down there on the floor that are also on Next Fest that I know of.
Should also, Alex, you should check out was a ball pit.
Okay. If we were going to talk about demos today, that was going to be my top line thing.
All right.
That one may be breaking me.
Okay, we'll talk about that next week then.
Do a quick teaser, or just save it for next week.
Yeah, I'll definitely talk about it next week with all the other demos, but that one has me bad.
Okay, it's your Pilatro.
It is currently wrecking my life.
Oh,
good. Right. Little teaser there. Look, when I recorded,
wait, is it like Ball X Pit, Ball Cross Pit?
Yes, that's the one.
Oh,
the Devolver game.
I flagged this to play. I saw somebody talking about this. This seems
you should fucking play it, dude.
What is this, like Arkanoid meets a city builder or something?
Yeah, like Brickout meets fucking Vampire Survivors, like with some tower defense-y type shit. Yeah, like it's a lot of different things at once, but it seems like it's mostly doing them well, and it also feels like it is trying to hit that Cult of the Lamb thing with like okay, your run's done, now go build this base.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that sounds good.
I was just going to end this by saying their press conferences are continuing to show up, press conferences in air quotes. And a Konami press start has just been announced for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
wait, what do they have besides the Silent Hill stuff and MGS 3?
Yeah, the MGS 3 remake.
Well, you've named the two things that are in the banner for this press conference.
Fantastic. We're good.
Metal Gear and Silent Hill.
Those are like both.
No, those were bangers. I'm not dissing.
Yeah. But they just showed both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was more my point.
Latest information on upcoming titles like Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
And more, it says. There could be more.
All right.
There was some other Konami thing recently, right? That we were like, this is a Konami game?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And we're like, oh, Konami's still putting out games?
Well, no, we can stop making that joke now, by the way.
Are you thinking of Deliver at All Costs? That was published by Konami.
Yes, they published that. Yeah. That's right.
Yes.
Also, let's be real. Konami's just back in video games now. We can just accept them.
Yeah. Okay. Seems like it.
All right. Look, a lot more out there. You can watch a big recap of a lot of trailers on Monday if you have 4 hours to spare.
Did you use this tool? I kind of want to go watch that stream just to see how you did that, because this events tool has been very indispensable today.
It's I did. I used it there. I actually got some good I took some notes about my using it to be like, okay, here's what I would change and here's what I might go in if you ever need to do this again.
I made a feature request this morning.
Yes. It seems like it is working sometimes actually when sometimes I have to reload the page to put the title of the event in the tab.
This thing is very helpful. Granted, our needs are somewhat specific, like not everybody needs to exhaustively go through the rundown of each one of these streams and have access to trailers at your fingertips and stuff. But if you do have those needs, it's like really nice to be able to just pull up this index of every game that was on there with all the information attached to each one and see the trailers and stuff.
I was very happy that it was serving a purpose, serve its purpose. I think there are others. Somebody linked me to another thing that also had a roundup of trailers too. So this definitely isn't unique in the space, but shout out to the Internet Games Database for providing their API endpoints in ways that are, I think, very well curated. So you can check, if you want to see this, it's at games.nextlander.com/events or events, I think is the plural, but you can just go to games.nextlander.com if you want to check the whole thing out. All right. We're going to wrap this show up. Boy, video games.
They're happening.
Mm-hmm.
They continue to happen. And let me just, for those who are keeping score out there, and lest it not be forgotten, a week shan't go by. I made it to Act 3 of Clair Obscure. So that means now I'm in the end game.
Okay.
This is it. A lot of optional stuff.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is the part where I've heard you can very easily overlevel, or not easily, but you run the risk of overleveling for that boss.
Considering what I've heard about that boss, that might not be a bad thing.
It seems like it just depends how you're going in there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I
am not in the end game of Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Oh, great. Okay.
Continues apace.
All right. That is going to do it for our show. Thanks everybody for tuning in and listening. We've got another stream coming up Friday. Brad, we have saved some Hitman elusive target stuff for Friday.
So, Shifra.
It did not ring a bell. The Bond villain.
Did you see Casino Royale?
Yeah, I've seen them all. I just my memory is terrible with it. So but we'll go have some fun with Mads Mikkelsen on Friday and see how that goes. So I feel like sometimes those go super fast and sometimes they can take a while. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
We should all take a crack at it, right?
I'll take a crack at it. Who wants to go first? We'll have to rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first, because whoever goes first, everybody else is going to learn off the map.
Exactly.
So that'll be Friday. Again, Monday, there's a long stream of going through a lot of trailers. And then Tuesday, Abby and I go through a bunch of Steam Next Fest demos, a handful, a half dozen, let's say, maybe 4 or 5 of picks there. So go check that out. All up now. If you go over to the patreon.com/Nextlander, that's where you'll find things like the Planorama, the Ramblecast, Never Been a Better Podcast. You get early access to the Watchcast, America's #1 movie Watchcast show.
You cannot say that.
I can say whatever I want.
No.
And we are watching Star Trek the original series season 2. We are making our way through. What are our episodes this week?
5
this
and 6.
week. Yeah, 5 and 6. It is the Apple and the Doomsday device.
Okay, great. I hear they're both bangers. So
one is pretty good.
Great.
One of them is quite good.
Go over to patreon.com, check that stuff out. While you're there, you might find a tier that is right for you. We have plenty of tiers there. Again, whole range of stuff. And there is one tier there that gets their names read on this here show, and it's the Mysterious Benefactors tier. And I'm going to read those names for you right now, starting with Scott G, Sean Miller, Support Your Local Pride Festivals, RRE, Alpha Rhythm, Infelicitous Rips, David L, Kelly F, Brian Lucier, Skywarp, Jason Grimm, John Hubbard, NXL Retirement Fund, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deidre declares a happy Pride Month, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, f1.buddycrimes.com, Jad Rita, Statics, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Randy Alderson, Andrew Tiepkin, Alex Wu, It's Me JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese.
I met somebody on this trip who works with one of our mysterious benefactors.
See?
I'm not going to say which one.
This is what becoming a mysterious benefactor can get for you. That name, these names are burned.
Yes, like the mystique that builds up around these names.
Someday we will make merch, and with the permission of a mysterious benefactor, just put "I am" on it on the back.
We don't just call them mysterious benefactors because we needed a name for that category, and we were ripping off Mass Effect.
Give me a T-shirt that says "I am Tyler Trees" with your permission, Tyler Trees, of course. That is hilarious. That's fun. I love stories like that. Well. You can go become a mysterious benefactor or support us in any way you find over at patreon.com/Nextlander. Thanks to everybody who has supported us. Thanks for everybody who's watched, listened, got the good word out there. Look, we are terrible business people, and we rely on your support. But hopefully, as we go through these games, we're trying our best out there to stay in the good graces of our general public out there. No muddying the waters, even though we probably would do better as a business to someday look at that stuff.
Probably leaving a lot of money on the table, but
look, these are decisions we make. We hope you appreciate them. Who knows? Who knows what the future will bring? But thank you for supporting us. That is honestly, all joking aside, how we make the lion's share of our operating income here. So
at least for now.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that's great.
Next week's show brought to you by Call of Duty Black Ops 7.
That's right. Check it out. It really looked fantastic, I thought. What a great way to end the show.
Actually, I changed my mind. It was like an amazing way to end that stream.
It's just so end the show and end the podcast, clearly. Thanks everybody. We'll be coming back next week. I just got a Switch 2 at the door, so I'll talk a little bit more about I guess I'll talk a little bit more about that next week. I don't know, we kind of talked a lot about it this week. Well, thank you very much, Alex Navarro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Shoemaker, and welcome back.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next week.